take care of the details before you even walk through the door. Bank Chevrolet Buick GMC in Concord, New Hampshire. Real prices, huge inventory, always in stock. GMC, we are professional grade.
And now, an interview with the Emperor of Hate, Howie Carr.
Who do you consider the biggest rhino in the Republican Party?
Probably is Paul Ryan. I wish a Republican were still the speaker, but Paul Ryan was scarcely a Republican. And there was a reason he was Mitt Romney's running mate, because we had a rhino ticket in 2012.
Where did the expression, "How many more, Mr. Speaker? How many more?" come from?
That comes from the State House. There used to be a state rep who sometimes would talk about atrocities that were happening in crime. And he would get up there and he would say, "How many more, Mr. Speaker? How many more?" And I just picked it up and it became a trademark.
Where's your favorite place to go out to eat in Palm Beach?
My favorite place to go in Palm Beach is probably the Honor Bar, which used to be O-Bar, and you can get a really great hamburger there, and they have a great coffee machine that brews each cup of coffee individually.
And now, an interview with the Emperor of Hate, Howie Carr.
Is Kennedy Babylon 2 your last book?
No, if I think of another topic for a book I want to write, I'll go for it. But I think it's the last of my Kennedy Babylon series. I made Kennedy Babylon 2 kind of long because I wanted to get everything in there. Now there's other stuff I could write about, but I'm Kennedy'd out.
Since having the sleeve operation, do you miss not eating big meals?
No, I don't. I can still eat what I used to eat. I just can't eat as much. I'm now very surprised how much I used to eat. I'm surprised at how much people I eat with consume. It's just hard to believe that I used to eat that much. But no, it's not a problem.
How is Mr. Gooner since Pearl's passing? Mr.
Gooner is drowning his sorrows in food.
What is the most trouble you ever got into as a kid?
My father was giving me grief one time up at Moosehead Lake in Maine, and I threw a rock at him. He didn't much like that.
You're listening to the Howie Carr Show. And now, an interview with the Emperor of Hate, Howie Carr.
Would you say you're more like your mom or your dad?
No, I don't think I ended up being like either of them, now that I think about it. My mother worked hard, but she never really learned how to make a lot of money, and my father didn't work so hard, but he had a good personality. He was good with people. He was better than me with people. That's what I'm saying. I'm not like either one of them, I don't think.
Did you have any siblings?
Yes, I have a brother, a younger brother.
What was your favorite subject in school?
Well, all kinds of history. I loved all kinds of history.
If you could have 3 houses, besides the ones you already have, anywhere in the world, where would they be?
I wouldn't mind having another house in Palm Beach on Clark Avenue. Maybe a place in southern Maine. I don't need a third place.
Didn't you already have a house in Maine?
I did. It was on an island. It was not a good fit for the mailroom manager.
I've heard the house was haunted. Is that true?
Yes. And my wife didn't really care that much for my relatives.
Contrary to popular belief, estate plans are not just for the rich and famous. And poor planning could cause expensive nightmares for you and your loved ones. Hi, I'm Joe Ruffino, Director of Research and Portfolio Manager at Goodman Advisory Group. Proper estate planning could maximize the value of what you'll pass on to your heirs. Poor or no planning could lead to loved ones accidentally cut out of their inheritances, paying large unnecessary tax bills, and could saddle the family with head-scratching legal battles. That's why the Goodman Advisory Group is offering a free report entitled Estate Planning Nightmares, 13 Critical Mistakes and How to Avoid Them. In this report, you'll learn how to avoid the devastating consequences that could occur if you fail to properly plan for what happens when you die. Call now for your free no-obligation report. Call 800-267-6500. That's 800-267-6500. 800-267-6500.
Securities offered through LPL Financial. Member FINRA SIPC. Investment advice offered through Goodman Advisory Group, LLC, a registered investment advisor separate from LPL Financial.
I've seen a lot of Anchor cupcakes in my day. Here are some of the latest network nitwits.
And he says, if I'm elected president, I will push for a constitutional amendment to impose term limits on all members of Congress. Correct me, there already are term limits, so what does he mean?
And what are we hearing in the background? Is that shelling?
No, Katie, you're actually hearing that from here in Jerusalem, and it's actually fireworks going off right behind me.
We're in our tribes, we're in our corners most of our lives. I think we just heard some gunshots. Should we listen to that for a second? Control room? So that's not gunshots? Okay.
Ivanka is not the second.
better strap yourself in. It's time for the Howie Carr Show.
Nancy Pelosi wants you to say, I'm sorry that I invaded your space.
So I invaded your space. I mean, I'm sorry this happened. But I'm not sorry in the sense that I think I did anything that was intentionally designed to do anything wrong or be inappropriate. It was inappropriate that I didn't understand, that I assumed. Look, I was... Anyway.
Live from the Matthews Brothers Studios.
What are you proudest of in your administration? I know what I said? Not one single whisper of scandal.
Not one.
Not one single
Well, I can think of a couple of things.
Unchained and unstoppable.
So I didn't want it to look like he was putting his thumb on the scale here. And that, that I'm going to do this based on who I am, not by the president going out and trying to say, this is the guy you should be with.
You just keep telling yourself that.
Who's your captain? Howie Carr.
Just in, first quarter GDP numbers have just been released, showing 3.2% growth for the first quarter. That is a beautiful number.
This number is so good, we don't even need to have that conversation.
Really big numbers.
For a first quarter number, it's incredible.
Better than estimates.
Unexpectedly higher.
It's an extraordinary number.
My whole life has been about winning.
Who do you love? Howie Carr.
The Supreme Court has recognized the inherent right of Congress to hold individuals in contempt and to imprison them. Congress has the responsibility, and I would say the obligation, to hold individuals in contempt who do not comply with a lawful subpoena, who do not produce documents, and we ought to be prepared to imprison them because we have that inherent right.
I love you, but let me ask you this, Congressman. How do you do it?
Rump swabs, hacks, and moonbats beware. It's Howie Carr.
Were those last cuts a flashback to when Eric Holder was held in contempt of Congress? When was he arrested, by the way, when he was found in contempt of Congress? Oh, that's right. He wasn't arrested. I guess he had some kind of special privilege. But so the White House aides don't have the same kind of privilege that Eric... I wonder what Eric Holder's privilege was based upon. 844-500-4242. That is the toll-free number of the Howie Carr Show. Already I'm getting comments about my wardrobe. We're not even on Newsmax. We're just on Facebook. Stretchy Pants Howie, you going to a buffet after the show? I wore regular pants for most of the week, I went to a party on Wednesday night. I was on Fox on last night. And Jay from Chelsea, thank you for saying nice tie. I thought that was a nice tie.
Look, if you're going to be nice and comfy in sweatpants, you can handle the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune.
What's wrong? What are you talking about? Just concentrate on the main camera. Don't worry about the side cameras where I'm walking in.
It really pains you to wear regular pants, doesn't it?
I don't.
You come into work as if you are the bravest, most courageous, deserving of the Kennedy Center Honors Awards. You come in and you're like, I'm wearing regular pants, so everything I have planned today better not get canceled. I didn't even wear my sweats.
Grace, I think we should wear sweatpants to work next week.
I don't have a problem with that. I mean, there's nobody coming in today. I mean, well, there's Joe Ruffino, but he always comes in. He's in the building. They're
accustomed. They're accustomed to your sweats.
We don't have any VIPs. I'm not going to be on TV. I don't have a party at Ernie Bach Jr.'s house tonight. What's the problem with me wearing sweatpants?
You have a TV show. You are going to be on TV.
I know that, but again, I am the guy who used to wear short pants to his TV shots, because I assumed I'd be sitting at a
short
desk.
Pants would be a little bit more professional than sweats.
Okay, well, when it gets, warm, when we have the 4 weeks of summer before, in between the 48 weeks of winter, when we get to the 4 weeks, I'll wear some short pants.
Mattress shorts.
I have
no
them. They're waiting.
Gym shorts.
I was looking at my mattress shorts today, as a matter of fact, and I was thinking it's going to be nice to put them back on. All right. Anyway, 844-500-4242. Thank you, Jay, for talking about my nice tie. I think it is a nice tie too. It matched nicely. I wish I had a little more time. Anyway. 844-500-4242. 844-500-4242. Gee, who do you think you are, jacketless Jim Jordan? Well, that's an affectation, what he does. It's like when Tucker used to wear the bow ties. I try to vary it. You never see me go on Fox with the same tie over and over again. And I wear casual shirts every day, but I don't wear them 3 days in a row. Well, not often anyway, unless I forgot to wash everything else. Anyway, 844-500-4242. That's the toll-free number of the Howie Carr Show. The arrest of the judge, or not the arrest, the indictment of the judge probably would have been the lead story in the papers today if John Hondo Havlicek, one of the all-time Celtic greats, hadn't died. It's really something. 79. That's pretty young. He was one of the best athletes I ever saw. You know, he had huge lungs, they said. He could just run and run and run. All-time Celtic leading scorer, and died of a bad disease, Parkinson's disease. That's what killed former state treasurer Bob Crane too. It's a tough way to go. But so the story wasn't the lead in the papers today, but it's still a major story, and I'm just so happy to see how it's playing out. And what I thought we'd do is just talk about it, get your reaction to the arrest of the judge. And Maura Healey, of course, she was started grandstanding yesterday, the state attorney general, and she's shocked. Today's indictment is a radical and politically motivated attack on our state and the independence of our courts. It is a bedrock principle of our constitutional system that federal prosecutors should not recklessly interfere with the operation of state courts and their administration of justice. At this point, I should probably mention that Maura Healey is a lesbian, and she lives with another lesbian in Charlestown who happens to be a Superior Court judge. So this one kind of hits close to home, I think, for Maura Healey. Just not only being a Democrat, but the fact that her partner is another female judge, and I'm sure of the extremely liberal variety, just like the indicted judge, Shelley Joseph. And speaking of her, how delicious was it to see her weeping as she left the Moakley courthouse yesterday afternoon? You know, I'm reminded of the old saying, don't do the crime if you can't do the time, you know? So she's tough judge and going to help out the illegal alien drug dealer, drunk driver. But when she gets bagged, she starts weeping. Pitiful. But anyway, hey, you know, at least they didn't drag her in handcuffs. You know, they let her turn herself in. They didn't arrest her. You know, she didn't get the bum's rush like, say, Roger Stone. She wasn't put in solitary confinement like Paul Manafort. So I don't know what her complaint was. The court officer that was just retired last month. He was still on the payroll yesterday when we checked him. $85,000 a year. He retired. If he's convicted of a felony, though, I think he'll lose the pension and have to pay back the money like the state police. What are you laughing at, Grace?
Howie, who do you think had a worse day yesterday, Mayor Pugh or Judge Joseph?
Oh, I think Mayor Pugh did. I would have to say, and it turns out she wasn't on the lam. The CBS affiliate down in Baltimore tweeted out yesterday morning that no one could find her, but she had just gone to another one of her houses. This is really nice, isn't it? That the mayor of Baltimore, who before she was mayor of Baltimore was a state senator, and she's got two houses. So it's pretty, but of course she's a best-selling author. Well,
I was going to say, which children's book paid for the second house? Must have been a really good one.
You know, she at least Bernie's book, whoever wrote it, that's probably like 200 pages long. Her children's book was 20 pages long, and she made so far they've discovered $700,000 on the children's book. And her lawyer said that you know, she's leaning towards doing the right thing, i.e., resigning as mayor. But right now she's not lucid enough. She was lucid enough to set up this major league scam that netted her $700,000, but she's not lucid enough to figure out that she's busted, just like Judge Joseph. But anyway, we've got the Facebook posting of Maura Healey. She put this whole screed on her Facebook page, her office's Facebook page, thinking that the woke people of Massachusetts were going to get behind her. And boy, did she get a wrong number. It is hilarious. It is hilarious. I've got dozens of these things to read, and we'll take your comments. What do you think about this? 844-500-4242. Yeah, someone says, I like the photo going around of the Judge Joseph leaving the courthouse in tears. I know, it was hilarious. Excuse me, she's a state appeals court judge. I thought she was Superior Court. She's one step above. She's an appeals court judge. So Superior Court, Appeals Court, and then I guess the State Supreme Court. 844-500-4242. If you want to talk about the arrest yesterday of the judge for the Democrat state committee member, former state committee member judge appointed by feckless rhino Governor Tal Deval Baker, now arrested, suspended, and she's in deep trouble. 844-500-4242. I'm Howie Carr.
The paper boy with a big microphone. Howie Carr.
Are you looking to buy or sell a home in Maine? Then Realtor Bryce Hamilton is the man for the job. My listeners can contact Bryce today for a free, no-obligation analysis of your real estate needs. Call Bryce today at 207-749-2267 or find him online at howiesmainerealestatestar.com. Campers, this is Howie Carr, and I've got to say there is nothing like Destination Cold Springs, the place for everything camping. It started with a camp resort, then came the RV Center and Superstore, and now they have the region's largest state-of-the-art service center and body shop. At Cold Springs RV, the doors are always open so you can casually browse the huge selection of travel trailers, fifth wheels, toy haulers, motorhomes, and park models. You should have high expectations when shopping for a new or pre-owned RV. So go meet the team that is ready to listen to you. Cold Springs RV is ready with the best price and a massive selection of RVs on the lot and the new indoor showroom. The brand new state-of-the-art service center will take care of all makes and models, regardless of where you made the purchase. That includes the RV paint and body shop. Cold Springs RV is also the home of a Woodall's 10-star camp resort. Campers with high expectations go to Destination Cold Springs, Route 114 in Ware, New Hampshire, coldspringsrv.com.
And now, another minute of Madam Speaker, Nancy Pelosi.
But, again, don't...
You have these wings, AOC and her group on one side.
That's like 5 people. They would say, play games, and then they'd say, open sesame. Except we don't say sesame, we say open Biden. But no, because we are not. We have the number is growing. We have 91 women. There are 115 women in Congress, 116. 15 are Republican, 91 are Democrats. I happen to be a manifestation of the women power that is coming forth now, but only one manifestation. It was like getting kicked in the back by a mule constantly. It was physical. It was so unbelievable. The Times found Lincoln. Not to be presumptuous to put ourselves in those categories, but the Times have found us.
Hello, America. Incredibly bad Christopher Walken impersonator here. Before, Neil Armstrong planted the Stars and Stripes on the Sea of Tranquility. Before, our greatest generation rescued freedom in World War II. Before, the Dust Bowl and the Great Depression. Before, we sent our doughboys over there in the war to end all wars. Before, the first musket ball flew in the Civil War, the brothers Matthews were making windows in Belfast, Maine. Over the past 165 years, my friends at Matthews Brothers have seen some wacky stuff come out of Washington. They always say, who cares? We're here to make wicked awesome windows. I guess, after a while, you kind of get used to it. As the boys used to say at the Lincoln Douglas debates, welcome to the monkey house. You can learn more about their wicked awesome Maine-made windows and doors, but only at better lumberyards and window professionals, or on the web at MatthewsBrothers.com. Matthews Brothers with 1 T, America's oldest window manufacturer.
Bernie Sanders is officially in the race for 2020. Let's look back at some of the septuagenarian's greatest hits.
Should we give tax breaks to billionaires, which is what Trump wants, or demand that the wealthy and large corporations start paying their fair share of taxes? Blah, 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 blah.
You know, it's funny, sometimes American journalists talk about how bad a country is because people are lining up for food. That's a good thing. In other countries, people don't line up for food. The rich get the food and the poor starve to death.
We understand your wife has hired a lawyer to represent her in a possible probe into a land deal that fell apart. This was back when she was president of Burlington College.
No,
of course,
it was not
in your
when
state.
she was. Oh, let me say a word on that. You know.
Yeah. Well, I just want to ask you: do you know she's under FBI investigation?
Excuse me. My wife is about the most honest person I know.
At the end of the day, you don't necessarily need a choice of 23 underarm spray deodorants or 18 different pairs of sneakers.
People should not be dying in the United States of America when they are sick.
We will raise taxes.
He's fit. He's got a perfect smile. He's got impeccable hair. He's Howie Carr. And you can hear him weekdays from 3 to 7 p.m. wherever good radio is appreciated.
President Trump addressed the NRA convention today, National Rifle Association. The Secret Service just said a man is now in custody for allegedly throwing a cell phone at Trump. Why can't we all just get along? Are you a concerned citizen who cares about limited taxation? Join the Massachusetts Fiscal Alliance and become a member of the state's largest conservative advocacy organization. Union bosses and the socialist left want you to ignore this message. Don't. Visit massfiscal.org and join Mass Fiscal today. Steve, what's the poll question? What are the results thus far?
Well, Joe Biden is out there repeating this myth that the Obama administration was completely scandal-free. So we're asking.
You're too kind to call it a myth. It's a lie. It's a big fat whopper.
So we're asking, what was the Obama administration's biggest scandal? And the options we have are Fast and Furious, Benghazi cover-up, IRS targeting of conservatives, the entire Russiagate conspiracy, Bo Bergdahl, Gold King mine spill, and illegal executive orders. And before people start weighing in, yes, we know we missed some, okay? There are only so many options you can give on the poll question.
Like giving the black farmers all the reparations, even if they weren't black farmers.
Pigford loan scandal.
Pigford loan. Yeah, that was kind of an obscure one, but that was a lot of money involved. How about cash for clunkers? I mean, you're right. I mean,
Solyndra.
Solyndra.
I mean, the entire Stimulus Act was one big cash grab.
Yeah, that Democrats. Was $600 billion.
See you later.
I got to vote for Russiagate, though. I mean, they're all good, but I mean, they're all horrible and scandalous. But I mean, as Trump said to Sean Hannity last night, this is the first time anyone's ever tried to attempt a coup against an elected U.S. president.
Right now, 21.6% say Russiagate, Howie.
I think that will go up as the day goes on, I think.
42%, though, say Benghazi cover-up. The Benghazi cover-up left a mark in the the minds of a lot of Americans.
Well, it also left a mark on the 2012 presidential campaign, and that's I don't know that Mitt would ever run. Talk about feckless Republican governors of Massachusetts, but it certainly didn't help him. That the truth about it didn't get out. All right, okay. So the other ones are far behind, I guess. Also rants. 844-500-4242. Okay, I'm going to read you some of these things. Again, Maura Healey puts her statement on the Facebook page about how reckless it was for the feds to indict this crooked judge. So I'll just start reading you some. This Vence says, he responds, laws aren't for judges too? Jamie, I as a resident of Massachusetts am happy to see someone uphold the law. Since you will not uphold the laws, someone has to. I hope to see more of this. Steve, maybe some of the other judges will pay attention to what happened. Jim, sorry, Mara, only Hillary Clinton is above the law. Ha ha. That's a good one. David, break the law, get arrested. That's how it works for the rest of us. If you don't want judges to have the same rules, then you should just step aside. These were all remarks directed at replying to Maura Healey, the Attorney General. If you had done your job, the feds wouldn't have had to. Michelle, you should step down. Massachusetts residents are really tired of you. Then some guy with some Israeli or some Hebrew handle. I am very happy about the chilling effect this prosecution will have. The law applies to judges too. Jeff, judge needs to be tried and disbarred. Bob, judges are not above the law. This is a recurring theme, right? Stephen, what an embarrassment you are. Susan, you are a joke. You do not deserve your job. And this is the best. I thought this was the best one of the hundreds that flowed in. David, you could not be more wrong. This action is to be lauded and duplicated whenever applicable. If the people indicted didn't think they were doing something wrong, they wouldn't have illegally turned off the recorder. That's it. That's what the bottom line is. If she didn't do anything wrong, why did they have to turn off the recorder while they were cutting the deal to let the illegal alien, twice deported Dominican charged with drug trafficking, drunk driver, and 13 aliases go? Why? David, it's called justice, Mara. No one is above the law. Audrey, why aren't you happy that they caught a crooked judge? Sean, best news of the week. Chris says typical behavior of Massachusetts judges, and then he posts a link to a Herald story. ICE seeks Uber rape suspect. Now, the only thing I'm mystified by is, which story is this? Is this about the Uber rape suspect that the judge let go in Newton? The other judge, Judge Heffernan, who is now incidentally going to hear the case when the twice deported illegal alien comes back to court, probably next month sometime. Or are they talking about the case in Quincy where the African illegal alien was let go so that he could flee to Ghana? Ginny, the judge broke the law and put an entire community at risk. The judge has a responsibility to protect the people of Mass. She chose to protect the criminal, putting all of us at risk. She is not above the law. Jail time, please. Oh, couldn't agree with you more, Jenny. Julissa, glad she got arrested. Brian, recklessly, Mara, recklessly? This was all done with a grand jury. You know, our peers, please don't waste our tax dollars fighting this. We know you want to. Yeah, what, Mara, you know, you want to take out your sorrows. Stop attacking the U.S. attorney. Go file another lawsuit against Donald Trump. It's been 10 days, probably maybe even 2 weeks since you filed a lawsuit against the evil orange man. Mike, A.G. Healy truly exemplifies the gift of pure ignorance that just keeps on giving. No brains and even less personality. Angelo. This matter, quoting from her own press release, this matter could have been appropriately handled by the Commission on Judicial Conduct in the trial court, unquote. Really? Knowing the corruption that masquerades for justice in this state, the whole matter would have been broomed. You think Angelo read my column? I think I said almost the exact same thing. I even used the word broomed. Nate, oh, sorry you have an issue with upholding the law, Mara. Maybe you should consider a new career path. Dwayne, your courts are not, capitalized not, above the law. Richard, your law school just called. It wants its JD diploma back based on your exhibited ignorance of how laws actually work. David, I suggest that prosecutors now go on to indict people like Representative Michelle Dubois for the exact same federal violation. Well, this is the woman from Brockton who had heard that there was going to be an ICE roundup of illegal Cape Verdeans in the city of Champions. So we're going to take your calls when we come back. What's your take on this? Did Lelling do the right thing or indicting this judge? I'm Howie Carr.
The Subaru of New England Love Spring event is here. Celebrate in a brand new 2019 Subaru Outback, starting at only $26,345 with 0% financing for up to 36 months. Featuring standard symmetrical all-wheel drive and X Mode, the Outback is ready to conquer new heights. Details at SubaruofNewEngland.com. Get a great deal on the Outback and go love spring.
Hey, business owners and marketing professionals, would you like to advertise on the Howie Carr Radio Network? Howie's show reaches all across New England. And you know who's listening? Your next customer, client, or business lead. If you're interested in advertising on the Howie Carr Show, call John at 800-227-7300. That's 800-227-7300. You're listening to Howie, and so is your next customer. Call John, 800-227-7300 right now.
And now, an interview with the Emperor of Hate, Howie Carr.
Did you have any pets when you were younger?
I had a cat named Dexter. That was my first pet. And then I had possession of 2 poodles when I lived in Palm Beach, Princess and Frisky. They weren't really my dogs, but I took care of them. They lived with me. So they were my dogs. I loved those poodles.
When you were a kid, what was the best gift you ever received?
I got this wooden fort from FAO Schwartz in Palm Beach, about the age of 6 or 7. 10 soldiers to go along with it. Such a cool fort. I had that fort for like maybe close to 10 years.
What is your all-time favorite movie?
Probably Goodfellas. I love Goodfellas. I love it even more than The Godfather.
What is your favorite dessert?
Oh, that's a tough one. Probably chocolate ice cream, followed by vanilla ice cream, followed by coffee ice cream.
Hello, America. Incredibly bad Christopher Walken impersonator here. Over the past 165 years, my friends at Matthews Brothers have seen some incredibly baffling ideas come out of our nation's capital. Did you know that the government owns the rain? Or that it's a federal crime to sell ham turkey, but not turkey ham? It's also against the law for Farmer John to sell raw milk. Matthews Brothers has built a reputation for solving window problems with products that are affordable, practical, and realistic. 3 words that are obviously not in the federal lexicon. We can be thankful that for something as important as windows and doors, you can rely on Matthews Brothers, the same company New England has trusted since before the Civil War. You can learn more about their wicked awesome Maine-made windows and doors, but only at better lumber yards and window professionals, or on the web at MatthewsBrothers.com. Matthews Brothers with 1 T, America's oldest window manufacturer.
Jim Acosta, without a doubt, wins the competition for Trump's least favorite journalist of all time. Let's listen to some of their feistier moments.
I'll tell you what, CNN should be ashamed of itself having you working for them. You are a rude, terrible person. You shouldn't be working for CNN. Should I let him have a little bit more? What do you think, Peter? Peter, should I let him have a little bit more? Sit down. I'm changing it from fake news, though.
Doesn't that undermine...
Very fake news.
I know, but aren't you...
When I raise money... Excuse me. I've watched you on television. You're a real beauty. Honestly, I think you should let me run the country. You run CNN. All right. And if you did it well, your ratings would be much better.
If I may ask one other question. Mr. President, if I may ask one other question, are you worried...
That's enough. That's enough.
Mr. President, what do you say to your critics who say that you're concocting a national emergency here in order to get your wall because you couldn't get it through other ways?
What do you think? Do you think I'm creating something? Ask these incredible women who lost their daughters and their sons, because your question is a very political question, because you have an agenda. You're CNN. You're fake news.
We have a lot of laughs at the Howie Carr Show. Here are a few of my favorites. It's 1 minute of the Three Musketeers.
As someone who used to shovel out his car and put a space saver in the space, why should I spend hours shoveling out a space for you?
Exactly.
For you.
Exactly.
The only reason that I don't move space savers like milk cartons and lawn chairs...
Because you'd be murdered.
For the record, just for the record, this
Howie,
is out of...
I got to ask the obvious question. Would you put your life on the line to defend the pugs from
That's
an alligator?
That's what it really was. I think she would have gotten away had she not loved her dog so very much.
No, I would not.
Shocked.
Sorry, Gunnar.
They're just a human being.
It's every mammal for himself.
87% say no.
Okay.
Yeah, they have high hopes. They have a lot of faith.
They got high hopes. They got high hopes. They got high in the sky apple pie hopes.
Oh, we just harmonized.
Who needs Frank Sinatra when you got me and Grace?
Live from the Matthews Brothers Studios.
We got a great book deal, and it's going to end at midnight tonight. Both of the Kennedy Babylon volumes, A Century of Scandal and Depravity, almost 600 pages of scandal, tabloid trash, gossip, and pictures you've never seen before about the Kennedy family. I wrote both of these books, and they're pretty entertaining, if I do say so myself. These usually go for $40. We're selling them right today, only today, for $9.99 for both books. $9.99 for both books. Order before midnight, and you get the 2 books for $9.99. Go to HowieCarrShow.com and click on store. HowieCarrShow.com, click on store. Bruce the Met says, did you see that a Houston man is being charged in the fiery crash in Colorado? 4 people dead. There was a traffic jam up in a truck hit the cars and just set them all on fire. At least 4 people are dead. The Houston man's name is Miguel Lazaro Aguillado Mederos. Okay. Meanwhile, getting back to the arrest of the judge, or the indictment of the judge, she wasn't arrested because, she's a jurist. She has black robes. I guess they're in the closet now. She can send them to the cleaners and get them dry cleaned. She ain't ever going to be using them again, I don't think. But we're talking about her arrest. It's for helping an illegal alien, alleged drug dealer, and alleged drunk driver, twice deported, escape while there was an ICE agent that she had banned from the courtroom. That really bugs me too, that she banned a U.S. citizen from the courtroom, especially a guy who's got a badge and who's trying to enforce a legal order to pick up this criminal Dominican. And I'm always irritated when I get thrown out of the courtroom, but they always have a pretext, that I'm going to be a witness. It's happened to me a couple of times, and there was no reason to throw this guy out. It was just totally improper. For that alone, she should be suspended. 781, AG Peppermint Patty is so embarrassing and the system is so corrupt that the feds had to get involved. And 603 says Mara should stick to playing basketball. Oh, that's the Globe. The Globe is always running stories about she was a great basketball player. Yeah, she went to Europe and played professionally after she finished up at Harvard or wherever the hell she went. 844-500-4242. John, you're next with Howie Carr. Go ahead, John.
Hey, Howie. This is wonderful news. Just when I was giving up on Massachusetts and all the liberal slop that I have to swallow every day, something like this comes along and makes me smile. And I just hope that they go the full route with this absolute enemy of me and my family and the people that I care about. And Maura Healey is an enemy of mine and my nieces and nephews and my family. And again, and lastly, actually, by the way, Howie, you were great on Tucker. But lastly, I wanted to get that in there.
Thank you.
Yeah, you were great. I love it when you're on there. I loved Sean O'Connell today on your station when asked about the other activist leftist judges. I really love her. She's great. She's a ray of light for us.
Yeah, she's the state rep from Taunton.
She's great. She said, "You're next." That's simple. And wasn't that great? Isn't she great?
Yeah, I hope I think there was an element of bravado in that statement. I'll believe it when I see it. But you know what? I'm like you, John. I didn't believe this was going to happen. So it's if it happened once, maybe it can happen again. 844-500-4242. This Shelley Joseph was she was a little more brazen about her attempt to obstruct justice than some of these other hacks that are on the bench making $185,000 a year for a 35-week work year. That's how much I did the numbers once, with all their personal days, their conference days, their hack only holidays. They end up working 35 weeks tops a year, and they get paid $185,000. I know people say, well, teachers get a lot of time off. Not too many teachers making $185,000 though, are there? Not unless they teach at Harvard Law School, in which case they only have to teach one course like Elizabeth Warren. Jay, you're next with Howie Carr. Go ahead, Jay.
Hi, Howie, the man with the best laugh on radio. I'm curious to know. I scan headlines like a lot of us do. This is making some noise out there, along with the Florida legislature voting either yesterday or today to ban sanctuary cities. So question one, and I only have two today for you, is how seismic do you think this and Florida's actions are? And question two, why isn't the supremacy clause in part of the conversation? I thought federal law trumps, pardon the pun,
yes,
state law when it comes to these types of things.
Well, it does. I just don't think anybody's raising the point because it seems kind of obvious that that's the way the Constitution's written. But you also have the problem that there are other laws that are being flouted, like for instance, the drug laws. I mean, that's just all mixed up. I mean, Lelling has been asked about that over and over again. What are you going to enforce the marijuana laws? And I think the decision has been basically made to sort of leave hands off on that. But because it's not a direct public safety issue to let people smoke pot. Although it turns into a public safety issue when they get behind the wheel of a car. Obviously, despite what a lot of the weed aficionados want to say. This is just such a complicated issue. But you just can't let judges get away with totally violating the law and letting off criminals. I mean, this guy was distributing cocaine and he was a drunk driver. I mean, he was a menace. And God only knows how many ways he was collecting welfare. They had to go after this guy. Sometimes the law is enforced, can be enforced with prosecutorial discretion, as Rachel Rollins, the new DA in Suffolk County, is always saying. But I don't think Lelling had any choice here. Once the story got out, I mean, would Ortiz, the previous U.S. attorney, have prosecuted this? No. Would William Weinreb, the Rod Rosenstein classmate from Newton, who was the acting U.S. attorney, would he have prosecuted this? No. But Lelling is an appointee of Donald Trump, and he is he believes in enforcing the law, and I think he did the right thing. Thanks for the call. 781, when Judge Joseph makes her next court appearance, will she be addressed as your dishonor? 860, the judge was only shuffling the illegal aliens out the Sally Port door that the other judges couldn't be bothered to be shuffling. Yes, exactly. 978, H, upon hearing about the judge being indicted while I was listening to your show yesterday, I opened my humidor and lit up my most expensive cigar. I know. It was a happy moment. I'm still smiling. I can't wipe the grin off my face. 844-500-4242. She lives in Natick. I live next door to Natick. I was thinking, Steve, about just driving into Natick tomorrow and just kind of like moving up and down the streets and seeing if she's walking her dog or something.
You're going to go stalk this judge?
No, I don't want to stalk her.
Do you think she's still crying?
I hope so. Maybe that's how I could recognize her. I think I know what she looks like now that I've seen her picture, and she's probably still weeping the buckets. Mike, you're next with Howie Carr. Go ahead, Mike.
Happy Friday, Howie.
Happy Friday to you too.
Hey, you look good on TV last night. I like your hair, man.
Thank you.
Just kidding. No, good job. And listen, you are to be commended for keeping the story alive. And I'm sure you had some influence about, the squeaky wheel gets the grease. And I hope this judge's chutzpah days are over.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I was happy. Yeah, I know.
Acting like he's some kind of conscientious objector,
Right. She doesn't get to make the rules. It's like these people have been writing into Mara Healey. Are judges above the law? How does she get to decide that she's going to, number one, that she's going to not allow this American citizen to come into the courtroom, the ICE officer, and then number two, that she's going to allow this criminal to get away? What would have happened? How did she know that this guy wasn't going to just go out and get drunk again and kill somebody? How would she have felt then? Because if she'd let the ICE agent pick him up, the guy he wouldn't be around now. He'd be out. He'd be gone again. 844-500-4242. 203. I live a half a block from Hold at Healy in Charlestown. Is there a mission I can pass on from the coups? Nah. Just leave her alone. Don't do it. No. Just if you want to post a message,
hold it.
Hold it. Put it on her Facebook page. That's where all messages to Hold at Healy should be addressed. Pete, you're next with Howie Carr. Go ahead, Pete.
Yeah, Howie. Good to talk to you.
Hi.
These I hope there's a lot more of this that's going to happen across this country. This stuff has been going on way too long. And what's really amazing is what she's done, in the very minimum, and a charge would be obstruction of the judicial process.
Yeah.
And that's got to be good for at least 10 years in a federal pen, or at least Club Med. And the other thing too is, you got to wonder where these people, their legal educational background came from. And I got to wonder, maybe a lot of it was a correspondence course for a boiler room operation.
Nah, I don't think so. She went to BC undergraduate, Boston College. I forget where she went to law school, but she's she was an assistant attorney general like Mara Healey was, and she also worked as a coat holder for a hack state senator, one of the more sleazier, stupider state senators, and they're all most of them were pretty stupid. But she worked for Mark Pacheco, this guy from Taunton, same hometown as Shauna O'Connell, the state rep. And this isn't about law. This is about being politically correct. This is about being a member of the Democrat State Committee. This is about, going to the right cocktail parties. And, Natick is not totally, a people's republic. That's where Doug Flutie's from. But, there is part of Natick that's very PC. It's not that different from Wellesley, South Natick. And I'm gonna guess, I would go out on a limb and say that's where Joseph and her and her husband, who was also a lawyer, I'm going to guess that's where they live, is in South Natick. All right, Ken's place. Yeah, Ken's. If you need some great seafood this weekend, get to Ken's place. It's in Pine Point, Maine. That's Scarborough, Maine. It's the best seafood anywhere. They got try the batter dipped fried clams, and that's my recommendation. And save room for desserts because they have some really good ice cream from Martell's. It's a wonderful place. Dave Wilcox is the salt of the earth. Don't miss out on the lobster bisque or the seafood chowder, even the clam cakes. I know it sounds very very mundane, but the clam cakes. Don't you agree, Steve?
I'm personally a fan of the oysters on a half shell. They have very good oysters at the Oyster Bar.
Yeah, they didn't used to have a bar. They didn't used to have adult beverages in the old days, but now they got a nice bar. You can get draft beer, any kind of cocktail you want. It's just got everything. Ken's place. It's in Pine Point in Scarborough, Maine, and I guess I'll be getting up there at some point to sign some books, but I haven't. Has Baker made a comment on that? Yeah, he's very disappointed. Very disappointed. I'm Howie Carr.
He's the guru of graft. It's Howie Carr.
Hello, America. Incredibly bad Christopher Walken impersonator here. Matthews Brothers is boring. In a world that's full of excitement and change, they are Dullsville, baby. When the world's talking about cow farts and tofu burgers, Matthews Brothers is talking about wicked awesome windows and doors. When the world is talking about train rides to Maui or biking to Orlando, Matthews Brothers is talking about consistently superior customer service. When the world is talking about tearing down the buildings and putting up new ones, Matthews Brothers is saying, "We did mention we made windows, right? I said they're boring, not stupid." You can learn more about their wicked awesome yet boring Maine-made windows and doors, but only at Better Lumberyards and Window Professionals, or on the web at MatthewsBrothers.com. Matthews Brothers with one T, America's oldest window manufacturer.
And now, an interview with the Emperor of Hate, Howie Carr.
So now you've broken your elbow. Have you ever broken any other bones?
When I was 8 years old, I broke my leg. I was playing touch football in Portland, and a big kid, a 15-year-old, tackled me. When I was in my 30s, I was going down the stairs, and one of the kids' toys was on the stairs, and I tripped on it and broke my foot. I lost a tooth playing touch football when I was just out of Deerfield. I got smacked in the jaw. My tooth went up, and I still have a bridge, a crown from that mishap. I have a replacement hip, and now I have a bunch of pins in my left elbow.
When do you plan to retire?
I don't plan on retiring. As an old football coach once said, once you retire, there's only one big moment left. You know what that is.
Hello, America. Incredibly bad Christopher Walken impersonator here. Matthews Brothers is boring. In a world that's full of excitement and change, they are Dullsville, baby. When the world's talking about cow farts and tofu burgers, Matthews Brothers is talking about wicked awesome windows and doors. When the world is talking about train rides to Maui or biking to Orlando, Matthews Brothers is talking about consistently superior customer service. When the world is talking about tearing down the buildings and putting up new ones, Matthews Brothers is saying, "We did mention we made windows, right? I said they're boring, not stupid." You can learn more about their wicked awesome yet boring Maine-made windows and doors, but only at Better Lumberyards and Window Professionals, or on the web at MatthewsBrothers.com. Matthews Brothers with one T, America's oldest window manufacturer.
He is the youngest senator that is going to be running In his video, he also mentioned he's the only senator that lives in the inner city, and he's an unmarried vegan. So a lot of very unique qualities Cory Booker brings to the table, Kate.
Now, I appreciate the comments of my colleagues. This is about the closest I'll probably ever have in my life to an I am Spartacus moment. I am Spartacus. I am Spartacus.
Joey, do you like movies about gladiators?
Have you ever had an LGBTQ law clerk?
I've not been a judge, so I don't have any law clerks.
Someone working for you.
I'm to be honest, I don't know the sexual orientation of my staff.
When Dick Durbin called me, I had tears of rage when I heard about this experience in that meeting. And for you not to feel that hurt, tears of rage.
Would you just stop being so dramatic?
I'm a big believer that if this country hasn't broken your heart, then you don't love her enough.
President Trump loves Howie Carr, so why shouldn't you? Don't be a chump. Listen to Howie Carr, weekdays from 3 to 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Every week at this time, we talk to Joe Ruffino from the Goodman Advisory Group, and we get a market wrap-up for the week. Joe is the Director of Research and the Portfolio Manager for the Goodman Advisory Group. So I guess the big news today, I'm just looking at the Drudge Report, GDP, Gross Domestic Product, big 3.2% increase. Mm-hmm. Oil prices plunge. Oil economy surprise strength. Is it really that much of a surprise, though, Joe? I mean, we're a little over a year into the tax cuts. I mean, tax cuts generally stimulate the hell out of the economy, don't they?
Well, they have an immediate impact, no question about that. So when the tax cut takes effect immediately, now these companies have more money immediately. Less money goes to the government, more money in their till. And the way it works is that as these companies have more money, they spend more money, right? They hire more people, they buy more raw materials.
I know when I have more money, I generally tend to spend more money.
Right. Or you save and invest, right? There's nothing wrong with that either. But even the investment, you're giving somebody else money to run their own business.
Or that's why JFK used to say a rising tide lifts all boats.
Yep,
and that's why
absolutely.
Bernie Sanders They say this is just a sugar high for the economy.
Right.
Because it was Trump.
Right. Yeah. Well, exactly. I've said every time we talk about politics, I always say, look, the politician's job is to get reelected, and they've got to be sensational. If you're the losing party, you've got to do something in order to try to get more relevant. So they'll throw anything out there. But the reality is, look, it's likely to have a bigger impact over time, I would think, for companies, basically, because it's not a one-time cut. They're going to maintain these lower tax levels, which means they're going to continue to have more money in the coffers, which means there's sort of a compounding effect over time.
Right. You know what I like too is some of the people today on TV when the numbers came out, they were saying these are unexpectedly good. Remember when Obama was president, the numbers would come back and they'd be dismal, unexpectedly bad. It must be the weather. It must be the switch over to daylight savings time.
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, I'll tell you, there was some caution because of the potential tariffs with China, although that largely hasn't materialized, and part of it is because they're punting that ball down the road. So they've continue to push it out further and further and further. And if that does come to pass, it may have a negative impact. But so far, so good.
Well, let's talk briefly about the Avengers is coming out. They say this is going to be the, movies are generally doing worse as time goes on. Sure. People don't go to movies anymore. They stay home. But this is going to be the biggest movie ever, isn't it?
This is so incredibly significant.
It's supposed to be huge. I've heard some theaters are going to stay open for 72 hours straight. This movie has pushed out a lot of other movies that are maybe just so-so, and then they're already off the radar. And they've got something like half the screens in America. It's crazy.
Yeah. So listen, you guys have got a report you're offering, the Goodman Advisory Group. What's your new report?
Yeah, so this one's called Common But Avoidable Mistakes That Can Devastate Your Retirement. Yeah. And so basically it's what's the number one thing that people are scared of when it comes to retirement? The number one sin is running out of money, right? Yeah. So
I would say the common and avoidable mistakes that can devastate your retirement, that to avoid that, you never retire, right?
I guess so. Yeah, you could just sort of die early or work forever, whatever.
So is this a short piece?
I mean, not everyone has a job as cushy as talk radio host. Physical labor in your 70s is kind of tough.
Right. Well, you got to sit in a chair all day. No, it's so there are lots of things that you can do, mistakes that you can avoid that will extend out that. But it's really all geared towards not running out of money. That's kind of the biggest thing. That's what people are scared of.
Okay. So what's the phone number if the people want to order this?
So they can call 800-267-6500. It's a free report. There's no obligation. That number again is 800-267-6500. We've got people standing by.
And it's never too early to prepare, as we all know. I always tell my kids that, if you can get into a 401k or a 403b or an IRA, you ought to just start putting money aside, and you never know,
Yeah, sure. I mean, that's great advice for people who are starting out. I think for people who are actually retiring, it can be more dire.
Yeah. So if you want to get this, the new piece from Goodman Advisory Group, it's called "Common and Avoidable Mistakes That Can Devastate Your Retirement." No obligation. Just call. What's the number again?
800-267-6500.
Okay, Joe, give us that number one more time. No obligations. And operators are standing by. You'll get it. They'll be sent out to you immediately. Go ahead.
800-267-6500.
That's Joe Ruffino from the Goodman Advisory Group. One more time.
800-267-6500.
All right. Thank you, Joe.
Thank you, Howie.
The opinions voiced in this show are for general information only and are not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations for any individual. To determine which investments may be appropriate for you, consult with your attorney, accountant, and financial advisor or tax advisor prior to investing. Securities are offered through LPL Financial, member FINRA, SIPC.
Are you looking for a pre-owned car? Well, before you go to the dealership where you'll be pounced on by pushy salespeople, give the Car Guys a try. I'm Bill Papa George, and my job is to make finding the perfect used car as easy as possible. That means I do all of the tough legwork for you. Once I figure out what you want out of a car, I go find it. I've been in this business for a long time, and I know what to look out for. I won't bring you a car unless I know it will meet or exceed your expectations. So give me a call at 800-300-4600. That is 800-300-4600.
And now, another minute of Madam Speaker, Nancy Pelosi.
But again, you have these wings, AOC and her group on one side.
That's like 5 people. They would say, play games, and then they'd say, open sesame. Except we don't say sesame, we say open Biden. But no, because we are not. We have the number is growing. We have 91 women. There are 115 women in Congress, 116. 15 are Republican, 91 are Democrats. I happen to be a manifestation of the women power that is coming forth now, but only one manifestation. It was like getting kicked in the back by a mule constantly. It was physical. It was so unbelievable. The Times found Lincoln. Not to be presumptuous to put ourselves in those categories, but the Times have found us.
And now, an interview with the Emperor of Hate, Howie Carr.
We went to the White House for the Christmas party. In your opinion, what was the highlight?
The highlight of my trip to the White House with Grace, there were 2. Number 1, when we walked into Trump International Hotel, which she'd been dreaming of going to, and her eyes were wide. And then when the president actually came down the stairs, her eyes were even wider. She was so in awe of being there. I really felt like King Farouk, I felt like I was giving someone a really great gift that they couldn't get otherwise.
You've had some really good interviews over the years. Which one was your favorite?
I can't really say what the best interview I ever had, but one that just occurred to me was Jesse Helms, the senator from North Carolina. I interviewed him one time, and he went to high school with my mother in Monroe, North Carolina. And the first words out of his mouth were, "Howie, I know your mother before you knew your mother."
You're listening to the Howie Carr Show.
So are you tired of being tired? Well, then it's time to get the tea. Hey, it's Lisa here to tell you about this all-natural, all-organic tea I've been drinking that has had great results for over 20 years. It's called Life Change Tea, and it's specially formulated to help detoxify and cleanse your kidneys, liver, colon, and blood all at once. The colon is one of the most ignored organs in the human body. The faster that waste is eliminated from the body, the less time that waste sits in our intestines, spreading toxins to our bloodstream. This tea helps cleanse chemicals caused by outside intruders from our entire digestive system. And get this, weight loss can be a side effect. And with continued use of the tea, you can experience clearer, healthier, younger looking skin, increased energy, and a happier outlook on life. So if you're tired of being tired, get the Life Change Tea at getthetea.com. That's getthetea.com. And like me, you'll be glad you did.
And now, some of my favorite fake Indian cuts of all time. Oh, la, 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 la.
I'm not going to ask you for your favorite curse word. Actually, I am. Do you have a favorite curse word?
Poop.
Poop? Oh, that's a goody two-shoes favorite curse word if I ever heard one.
Are you kidding? Have you ever seen a woman like me look you straight in the face after you finished some long explanation of something and then just said, poop?
Hold on a sec. I'm going to get me a beer.
I am not sure what she's talking about as far as a rally with.
It was a rally in Bern, Oregon, is that you have to figure out who you are. I grew up in a family that was barely hanging on to the ragged edge of the middle class. And my Aunt B has walked by that picture at least 1,000 times, remarked that her father, my papa, had high cheekbones like all of the Indians did.
Brace yourself, guys. Here's 1 minute of Nancy Pelosi.
I myself have always been for lowering the voting age to 16. I think it's really important to capture kids when they're in high school, which was a very amicable conversation. Amiable, I guess you would say, not amicable. That they wanted their voices to be heard. I don't think our colleague is anti-Semitic. I think she has a different experience in the use of words. That's not the total package, but there are some of the major points of discussion, I would hope, from sea to shining sea, because they are not getting paid 163 Republicans voted no. Wisdom from the kitchen of the Willard Hotel, yes, ma'am. The president either doesn't know what he's talking about or doesn't want to know what he's talking about.
You're listening to the Howie Carr Show.
Joe Biden might be running for president in 2020, so we should play some of his greatest hits.
Barack and I finally reduced the disparity in sentencing, which we've been fighting to eliminate, in crack cocaine versus powder cocaine. Correct. It was a big mistake when it was made. We thought we were told by the experts that crack, you never go back.
You cannot go to a 7-Eleven or a Dunkin' Donuts unless you have a slight Indian accent.
If you want to protect yourself, get a double-barrel shotgun. If there's ever a problem, just walk out on the balcony, put that double-barrel shotgun, and fire 2 blasts. They're going to put you all back in chains.
Give me a break. That's a bunch of malarkey.
The 3-letter word, jobs. Jobs. Jobs.
One man stands ready to deliver change we desperately need. A man I'm proud to call my friend. A man who will be the next president of the United States, Barack America.
Campers, this is Howie Carr, and I've got to say there is nothing like Destination Cold Springs, the place for everything camping. It started with a camp resort, then came the RV Center and Superstore, and now they have the region's largest state-of-the-art service center and body shop. At Cold Springs RV, the doors are always open so you can casually browse the huge selection of travel trailers, fifth wheels, toy haulers, motorhomes, and park models. You should have high expectations when shopping for a new or pre-owned RV. So go meet the team that is ready to listen to you. Cold Springs RV is ready with the best price and a massive selection of RVs on the lot and the new indoor showroom. The brand new state-of-the-art service center will take care of all makes and models, regardless of where you made the purchase. That includes the RV paint and body shop. Cold Springs RV is also the home of a Woodall's 10-star camp resort. Campers with high expectations go to Destination Cold Springs. Route 114 in Ware, New Hampshire. ColdSpringsRV.com.
We have a lot of laughs at the Howie Carr Show. Here are a few of my favorites. It's 1 minute of the Three Musketeers.
As someone who used to shovel out his car and put a space saver in the space, why should I spend hours shoveling out a space for you?
Exactly.
For you.
Exactly.
The only reason that I don't move space savers like milk cartons and lawn chairs.
Because you'd be murdered.
For the record, just for the record, this
Howie,
is out of.
I got to ask the obvious question. Would you put your life on the line to defend the pugs from
That's
an
what
alligator?
it really was. I think she would have gotten away had she not loved her dog so very much.
No, I would not.
Shocked.
Sorry, Gunnar.
They're just a human being.
It's every mammal for himself.
87% say no.
Okay.
Yeah, they have high hopes. They have a lot of faith.
They got high hopes. They got high hopes. They got high in the sky apple pie hopes.
Oh, we just harmonized.
Better strap yourself in. It's time for the Howie Carr Show.
Nancy Pelosi wants you to say, I'm sorry that I invaded your space.
So I invaded your space. I mean, I'm sorry this happened, but I'm not sorry in the sense that I think I did anything that was intentionally designed to do anything wrong or be inappropriate. It was inappropriate that I didn't understand, that I assumed. Look, I was, anyway.
Live from the Matthews Brothers Studios.
What are you proudest of in your administration? I know what I said? Not one single whisper of scandal.
Not one.
Not one single
Well, I can think of a couple of things.
Unchained and unstoppable.
So I didn't want it to look like he was putting his thumb on the scale here. And that, that I'm going to do this based on who I am, not by the president going out and trying to say, this is the guy you should be with.
You just keep telling yourself that.
Who's your captain? Howie Carr.
Just in, first quarter GDP numbers have just been released, showing 3.2% growth for the first quarter. That is a beautiful number.
This number is so good, we don't even need to have that conversation. Really big numbers. For a first quarter number, it's incredible.
Better than estimates, unexpectedly higher.
It's an extraordinary number.
My whole life has been about winning.
Who do you love? Howie Carr.
The Supreme Court has recognized the inherent right of Congress to hold individuals in contempt and to imprison them. Congress has the responsibility, and I would say the obligation, to hold individuals in contempt who do not comply with a lawful subpoena, who do not produce documents, and we ought to be prepared to imprison them because we have that inherent right.
I love you, but let me ask you this, Congressman. How do you do it?
Rump swabs, hacks, and moonbats beware. It's Howie Carr.
Welcome to the Howie Carr Show. If you'd like to join us here this Friday afternoon, the number is 844-500-4242. That's 844-500-4242. Those of us here in the Northeast in Massachusetts, we still have smiles on our faces over the fact that a state judge was indicted yesterday for obstruction of justice for illegally allowing a criminal illegal alien, a Dominican accused of cocaine distribution and of drunk driving in Pennsylvania. He had a fugitive warrant on him because he defaulted. Imagine that, an illegal alien defaulting on a warrant on a criminal case. And the judge let him go, and she was hauled into court. Not hauled into court. She wasn't arrested. They arrested her court officer and brought him in handcuffs. They let her come in on her own. And she came out and she started weeping the buckets. Oh, it was great. What was that song? What was that, Beretta? Don't do the crime if you can't do the time.
I almost thought we were going to finish this week without you singing.
I just had to. Wasn't everybody thinking that when they saw her last night?
No, nobody was thinking of some song from the 30s?
No. What are you, Joe Biden? You think there was a TV? Beretta was a TV show in the 30s? All right, but anyway, well, we're gonna get back to that in a while. But I wanted to talk about something else here in the beginning of this hour, and that is the fact that for many weeks, I guess months, basically, many of us have been saying what happened with Russiagate, with the Spygate, whatever you want to call it, that it was an attempted coup. It was a failed coup d'etat against the first one in U.S. history. I mean, the Civil War, that was different, but this is the first time unelected bureaucrats tried to overthrow the president of the United States. And, Trump, I think, feels very liberated now that the Mueller report is out, and he has been exonerated, despite what the Democrats say. And so last night he went on the Sean Hannity show, just did a phoner interview, and he finally used the C word, coup. And it's just it's very good. And we're going to play we want to play the sound cut of him calling it a coup. And then we're going to give you some more news that's just been breaking overnight as to just how extensive the attempted coup was. So let's play cut 13, Steve.
Now, the FBI, I know FBI guys, these are the best in the world. But the people leading it, Comey and McCabe and Strzok and Page and all of these people, the lawyer who admitted, frankly, how crooked things were. I mean, when that testimony comes out, it's already come out partially. When that testimony comes out from the attorney for the FBI, you'll see. So I really say now we have to get down, because this was a coup. This was an attempted overthrow of the United States government. We had people coming out to vote from all over this country that are in love with what we're doing. It's called Make America Great Again. That's what we've done and we're doing. And this was an overthrow, and it's a disgraceful thing. And I think it's far bigger than Watergate. I think it's possibly the biggest scandal in political history in this country, maybe beyond political.
I don't think it's possible. I think there's no doubt about it. So now it turns out that more texts between the FBI lovebirds, Peter Strzok and Lisa Page, have been released. And they apparently, right after the election, a little over a week after the election, they were trying to figure out if they could put a spy in the transition team. And apparently, there was the chief of staff for Vice President-elect Mike Pence was a guy named Joshua Pitcock, and his wife had worked as an analyst for the FBI. And so all these texts are going back and forth between Strzok and his girlfriend, who was a lawyer for the FBI, about whether or not, what it boils down to is whether they can recruit this guy who's the aide to the top aide to Vice President-elect Pence as a spy inside the campaign, inside the transition team. And again, a spy for what? They even knew then that there was nothing there. Nothing there. But they were that's what they were doing. And Sarah Carter, who you sometimes see her on TV at night, she says that she's being told that Strzok's direct involvement in actions during the quote-unquote investigation will more than likely lead to criminal charges. More good news. You know what? I would rather see Strzok go to prison than the crooked judge in Massachusetts that let the illegal alien Dominican drug dealer go. Now, there's another story today from John Solomon, another guy. He's been on the show before. He works for The Hill. And his reporting today is that as early as January of 2016, this was before Donald Trump had even won any primaries. I think by now he was probably like leading in the polls in January of 2016. He was drawing huge crowds, but the New Hampshire primary was still a month away. I don't think he even won the caucuses in Iowa. He didn't. I don't think. I think Cruz won the caucuses. But as this is John Solomon. As Donald Trump began his meteoric rise to the presidency, the Obama White House summoned Ukrainian authorities to Washington to coordinate anti-corruption efforts inside Russia's most critical neighbor. But this is, again, January 2016, Ukrainian participants said it didn't take long during the meetings and afterwards to realize that the Americans' objectives included two politically hot investigations, one that touched Vice President Joe Biden's family. This is Hunter Biden, who made millions of dollars involved with a Ukrainian company. And Biden is on tape a couple of years ago after leaving the vice presidency bragging about how he stopped the investigation of the company. And the other one is one that involved a lobbying firm linked closely to then candidate Trump. and that's Manafort's company. So the FBI had known since 2014 that Manafort was involved in all these shady dealings with one of the Ukrainian political parties. But they didn't care about it. But then word started getting out that Manafort was involved with the Trump campaign. He wasn't officially hired until, I think, March. But they knew there were press reports that he was involved in he was getting involved in the campaign. So as soon as Manafort, who is a shady character, and he was a crook, and he was a tax evader, and he avoided paying taxes on millions of dollars, laundered the money through offshore banks, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But Manafort had no problems being a white-collar political grifter for all those years. He was probably close to 70 at this time, 3 years ago. I think he's over 70 now. He never had any problems until he got involved with Donald Trump's campaign. And he might as well have drawn a target on his back, because suddenly the feds were after him. The January 2016 meeting is one of the earliest documented efforts to build the now debunked Trump-Russia collusion narrative, and one of the first to involve the Obama administration's intervention. This is The Hill, John Solomon. Spokespersons for the NSC, National Security Council, DOJ, Department of Justice, and FBI declined to comment. A representative for former Obama National Security Advisor Susan Rice did not return emails seeking comment. And the key evidence against Manafort had been known. He was getting payoffs from a political party called the Party of Regions, was known to Iranian authorities since 2014, but was released in May 2016 by the other political party right after Manafort went to work for the Trump campaign. So I guess that was kind of a way for the other political party to stay on the good side of the Obama administration, was to try to torpedo the Trump campaign. All right, if today is a good day to get on the Chump line, if you want to get on the Chump line, the number is 844-500-4242. That's 844-500-4242. Press 2 for the Chump line, leave your message, and you may hear yourself on the air in just a little under an hour. We'll be right back. I'm Howie Carr.
He didn't come here to be made sport of. Howie Carr.
This half hour of the Howie Carr Show is brought to you by Perfect Smiles. If you're unhappy with your smile, you need to do what I did and visit Dr. Bruce Houghton in Nashua. Call 1-844-PERFECT-SMILE or visit perfectsmiles.com. Have you been burned by lawyers who talk a good game, take your money, then produce lousy results? Then it's time for you to contact Frank L. McNamara at McNamara & Associates. Frank is a Harvard grad, a Vietnam vet, and the former United States Attorney for Massachusetts under President Reagan. If you need a lawyer, contact Frank today at franklmcnamara.com. That's franklmcnamara.com. Or call him at 978-333-9608. That's 978-333-9608.
It keeps getting better. The Subaru of New England Love Spring event is here. Celebrate in a brand new 2019 Subaru Outback. Lease for only $249 per month for 36 months with $2249 due at signing. Featuring standard symmetrical all-wheel drive and X mode, the Outback is ready to conquer new heights. Details at SubaruofNewEngland.com. Get a great deal on the Outback and go love spring.
And now, a minute of wisdom from Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez.
Millennials and people and, Gen Z and all these folks that come after us are looking up, and we're like, the world is going to end in 12 years if we don't address climate change. And your biggest issue is how are we going to pay for it? And this is the war. This is our World War II.
I think that there's a lot of people more concerned about being precisely, factually, and semantically correct than about being morally right.
But being factually correct is important.
It's absolutely important.
And if we work our butts off to make sure that we take back all three chambers of Congress, all three chambers of government, the presidency, the Senate, and the House in 2020, we can't start working in 2020.
April is here and it's time for vacations. But what about a Bankscation? At Bank Chevrolet Buick GMC, we're making every day in April relaxing with great deals that will take you away. Look for the beach ball tags for special savings. Go see over 2,000 new and pre-owned vehicles in stock, all in one convenient location. You'd have to test drive over 70 different cars and trucks every day just to see them all. At Banks in Concord, shopping for a vehicle is as relaxing as a day at the beach. You'll find the lowest, most transparent pricing and a friendly, no-pressure staff. Right now, GM truck lessees can get up to $16,000 off all 2018 Denali's in stock with 0% financing for up to 84 months while supplies last. Must finance with GM Financial. See more April Bankscations offers online at banksautos.com. Our full-service internet department can help you take care of the details before you even walk through the door. Bank Chevrolet Buick GMC in Concord, New Hampshire. Real prices, huge inventory, always in stock. GMC, we are professional grade.
And now, 1 minute of Nancy Pelosi.
It is a bill that is much needed for our farmers and ranchers. I think there are only 47 votes against it in the House of Representatives. The American people should know the source of it. Again, we are engaged in the year-end continuing resolution, Homeland Security. I'm not sure. No, I haven't spoken to him since he called the other day, which was a very amicable conversation. Amiable, I guess you would say, not amicable. And I talked to Chuck last night to say, we haven't had an answer. There are other things that are going on that are newsworthy, and I think you'd have more viewers or readers if people address concerns that people have. The list goes on about
You're listening to the Howie Carr Radio Network, New England's #1 destination for breaking coverage of the 2020 presidential election.
Are you a concerned citizen who cares about limited taxation? Join the Massachusetts Fiscal Alliance and become a member of the state's largest conservative advocacy organization. Union bosses and the socialist left want you to ignore this message. Don't. Visit massfiscal.org and join Mass Fiscal today. massfiscal.org. Steve, what's the poll question and what are the results thus far?
What was the Obama administration's biggest scandal? Fast and Furious, Benghazi cover-up, IRS targeting, Russiagate, Bo Bergdahl, Gold King mine spill, or the illegal executive orders?
And no need to deluge us with text messages saying that we missed this or that. We know we couldn't get to them all. We don't have 27 options on our poll question. I have to vote for Russiagate because I agree with President Trump. It was an attempted coup.
27% are with you on Russiagate, Howie, but the leader so far is the Benghazi cover-up, 39%.
Yeah. Well, I think people believe that there were actually people who were killed in the Benghazi disaster involving Hillary Clinton and then the cover-up of it.
Well, another thing is, if they hadn't been successful with their cover-up, maybe Mitt wins. You never know. I doubt it, though. I can see you're not buying it.
You would need a candidate who does not go into the fetal position when he's attacked.
But he had Paul Ryan.
Since we've been going over all the Joe Biden gaffes this week, I think to myself, how many people could Joe Biden lose a debate to? And Joe Biden is not exactly fast on his feet. He makes Elizabeth Warren look like or Deval Patrick, two of our local hacks here in Massachusetts, look like a really Churchillian debaters. But he handled Ryan with ease because Ryan had the same rhino tendencies as Romney, which was to, under attack, just wilt up like a morning glory flower and go into the fetal position. It was pitiful. All right, 844-500-4242. We have a special deal on two of my books. It's only through midnight tonight, so if you want to get them, my two Kennedy Babylon books, Kennedy Babylon Volume 1, Kennedy Babylon Volume 2, almost 600 pages of scandal and depravity in the Kennedy family, lots of pictures, lots of stories you've never heard. And this is a $40 value. Right now, we're offering it to you for $9.99. Both books for $9.99. Go to HowieCarrShow.com and click on store, and you can get them for $9.99 plus shipping and handling. And they're all autographed. They're going fast, and this is a great deal. We're not going to extend it beyond tonight. 844-500-4242. Rob, you're next with Howie Carr. Go ahead, Rob.
Hey, Captain, how you doing?
Good.
This is the deputy. Used to work with you back at the old place.
Oh, I thought your voice sounded familiar. Good to hear from you, deputy.
Yeah, how's everything going? Listen, you know Obama was the capo of this whole low-rent crime family, right?
Oh, absolutely. Well, Trump mentioned that last night. He said, we know Comey and Clapper and Brennan were involved, but I think it went higher. Well, I mean, the head of the CIA and the head of the FBI, I mean, who's going to be any higher than that? There's not too many, right? You can count them on one hand. Yeah.
About a week ago, I was watching Godfather Part 2. You remember the part where Willie Chichi, the hitman, was testifying as a cooperating witness,
right,
in front of a Senate panel, and he was saying, the boss says, push a button on a guy. So the senator says, did you ever get an order directly from Michael Corleone? He said, no, I never talked to him. The family had a lot of buffers. And I thought of this Obama family, Comey and Brennan and Clapper. They were all the buffers.
Right. And Susan Rice. I mean, she was the main buffer because, she's the one that wrote the CYA memo, right? Minutes before Donald Trump was inaugurated, we had a big meeting on January 5th and the president and the vice president were there. And he said, do everything by the book, Right. Yeah.
The family had a lot of buffers.
Yeah, exactly. Thanks for the call, Rob. Good hearing from you. 844-500-4242. So this John Solomon interviewed this guy named Konstantin Kulyk. He's the deputy head of the Ukrainian Prosecutor General's International Affairs Office. So I guess he's like in the Ukrainian AG's office. He said Ukrainian authorities had evidence that other Western figures, such as former Obama White House counsel Gregory Craig, also received money from this political party. But the Americans weren't interested. No kidding, they weren't interested. This Gregory Craig was a Democrat. They're not going to go after the Democrat. He has been indicted now, but they at the time, you really think there's not a double standard of law here, or wasn't under the Obama administration?
Greg Craig is a pretty good name, by the way.
Yes, it is. Or is it Craig Greg? So this is what the Ukrainians said. They just discussed Manafort. That was all and only what they wanted. Nobody else. What a shock, huh? Manafort joined Trump's campaign on March 29th, 2016, and then was promoted to campaign manager on May 19th, 2016. The other case raised at the January 2016 meeting, this is when you could say this is the first recorded instance of the Russian collusion delusion is being constructed, the coup. The other case at this meeting involved Burisma Holdings, a Ukrainian energy company under investigation in Ukraine for improper foreign transfers of money. At the time, Burisma allegedly was paying then Vice President Joe Biden's son, Hunter, both as a board member and a consultant. More than $3 million flowed from Ukraine to an American firm tied to Hunter Biden in 2014-15, bank records show. Lunch Bucket Joe, his son got $3 to $4 million from this company in Ukraine. I'm Howie Carr.
April is here and it's time for vacations. But what about a bankscation? At Bank Chevrolet Buick GMC, we're making every day in April relaxing with great deals that will take you away. Look for the beach ball tags for special savings. Go see over 2,000 new and pre-owned vehicles in stock, all in one convenient location. You'd have to test drive over 70 different cars and trucks every day just to see them all. At Banks & Concord, shopping for a vehicle is as relaxing as a day at the beach. You'll find the lowest, most transparent pricing and a friendly, no-pressure staff. Right now, GM truck lessees can get up to $16,000 off all 2018 Denali's in stock with 0% financing for up to 84 months while supplies last. Must finance with GM Financial. See more April Bankscations offers online at banksautos.com. Our full-service internet department can help you take care of the details before you even walk through the door. Bank Chevrolet Buick GMC in Concord, New Hampshire. Real prices, huge inventory, always in stock. GMC, we are professional grade.
And now, an interview with the Emperor of Hate, Howie Carr.
If you had to have dinner with one of the Democrats running in 2020, who would you choose?
I'm drawing a blank. You know, I really don't think I want to have dinner with any of them.
Howie, you have to pick someone.
I think it would be the fake Indian, because I want her to cook me some cold crab omelet out of powwow chow. I've always wondered what the Cherokees ate on the Trail of Tears.
Who is your least favorite talking head?
It varies from day to day, but right now it's Brian Stelter, the eunuch, as Tucker Carlson calls him from CNN. Or is it Humpty Dumpty?
What's your favorite month out of the year?
My favorite month of the year is June or July. The longest day of the year is in June, and the longest days of the year are in July. So I'll vote for July.
What is your all-time favorite book?
I would have to say The Great Gatsby.
Contrary to popular belief, estate plans are not just for the rich and famous, and poor planning could cause expensive nightmares for you and your loved ones. Hi, I'm Joe Ruffino, Director of Research and Portfolio Manager at Goodman Advisory Group. Proper estate planning could maximize the value of what you'll pass on to your heirs. Poor or no planning could lead to loved ones accidentally cut out of their inheritances, paying large unnecessary tax bills, and could saddle the family with head-scratching legal battles. That's why the Goodman Advisory Group is offering a free report entitled Estate Planning Nightmares, 13 Critical Mistakes and How to Avoid Them. In this report, you'll learn how to avoid the devastating consequences that could occur if you fail to properly plan for what happens when you die. Call now for your free no-obligation report. Call 800-267-6500. That's 800-267-6500. 800-267-6500.
Securities offered through LPL Financial. Member, FINRA, SIPC. Investment advice offered through Goodman Advisory Group, LLC, a registered investment advisor separate from LPL Financial. Brace yourself, guys. Here is 1 minute of Nancy Pelosi.
I myself have always been for lowering the voting age to 16. I think it's in high school, which was a very amicable conversation. Amiable, I guess you would say, not amicable. That they wanted their voices to be heard. I don't think our colleague is anti-Semitic. I think she has a different experience in the use of words. That's not the total package, but there are some of the major points of discussion, I would hope, from sea to shining sea, because they are not getting paid 163. Was it 163 Republicans voted no? Wisdom from the kitchen of the Willard Hotel, yes, ma'am. The president either doesn't know what he's talking about or doesn't want to know what he's talking about.
And now it's time for some presidential facts with Steve Robinson.
George Washington was unanimously elected president by the Electoral College in the first two national elections. Talk about landslides. George Washington proclaimed November 26 a day of thanksgiving. He fasted while visiting debtors in prison, but provided them with food and beer. John Adams was the first president to reside in the executive mansion. Theodore Roosevelt was the first president to call it the White House. Following the Boston Massacre in 1770, no one wanted to represent British soldiers accused of murdering 5 colonists, so John Adams did. Thomas Jefferson spoke French, Greek, Italian, and German. He also claimed to have taught himself Spanish on a 19-day trip to France using only a grammar guide and a copy of Don Quixote. In 1860, Abraham Lincoln's campaign slogan was, "Vote yourself a farm," a reference to the Republican Party's support for the Homestead Act.
Live from the Matthews Brothers Studios.
At the same day, purely coincidentally, we had asked the question, what are you proudest of in your administration? I know what I said. It turns out he said the same thing, and probably a little more clearly than I did. That not one single whisper of scandal.
Not one.
Not one
Yeah.
single whisper.
That's Barack Obama. That's right. That's because of Barack. I know.
You know why, Joe? Because you have a D next to your name. How about this $3 to $4 million that your son got from this uranium, an energy company in Ukraine?
How about Hillary Clinton as Secretary of State, setting up a foundation and just taking bribes? You know,
Right.
you could buy foreign policy. Like, Hillary Clinton is a living scandal of the Obama administration.
Right. Yeah. How about the fact that she's talking about this terrible scandal in Russia? There was a cartoon today of her sitting in a glass house, and she was sitting on, there were all the scandals were around her, the bleach bit and, Benghazi and all this stuff. And she was sitting on the 33,000 deleted emails. I mean, is that a scandal? Those emails were under subpoena from Congress. I mean, where's Dave Cicilline, the guy who's talking about locking up the White House aides?
We'll get to that. We'll get to that.
Can you imagine
the former mayor of Providence?
Can you imagine
now
if Trump's Treasury Secretary hadn't paid taxes? Tax cheat Tim Geithner.
Yeah, I know. And let's not forget. I always like to point this out because the Treasury Secretary is the boss of the Internal Revenue Service. He has control of the Internal Revenue Service. So you had a cheat who had cheated, evaded his own taxes when paying the IRS, was then running the IRS. But there was no scandals in the administration.
What do they say? It's the hen in the
fox in the hen house.
There you go.
The hen in the fox house.
I want to talk about Biden. He was on The View today, kind of struggling. Did not go as well as I'm guessing if I was on his campaign staff, I would not consider this a success.
Did they ask him about this Uranian deal with this Ukrainian deal with his son?
No, I'm sure it was on Joy Behard's note cards, but she was too busy, giggling with Joe. But what I noticed is, so Joe Biden's 77 years old, Bernie Sanders is 79 years old, and Donald Trump is 74 years old.
So he's the spring chicken.
But he doesn't sound it. He sounds older. His voice sounds older than the rest of them. It's very low energy. And even in that first cut in the intro, when he goes like this, he goes, well, I was... Anyway, he gave up.
Working in the coal mines takes it out of you,
It's very creaky.
He might have incipient black lung from all those generations in the coal mines.
On the plus side, anyone compared to Hillary Clinton, as long as you're not coughing every 40 seconds, you really sound like an all-star. Exactly. And his full answer on why Obama is not endorsing him, I think we should play that because I cut a little bit of it out, but this is cut number 2.
But you said yesterday, I asked President Obama not to endorse.
Yeah, well, look,
Why?
The president, everybody knows, I think everybody knows, we didn't only serve together, but our families are close. We became very close personal friends. I mean, it's as some of the vice presidential scholars and presidential scholars have written they think there's very few, probably no other administration where the president and vice president became as personally close. I grew to respect him, and he is just a man of great honor and discipline, and his family, he and my wife and Michelle are close friends. They were talking to each other they went over to see each other the other day. So
basically, he knows me too well. We're too close. We're too much of best friends that he couldn't endorse me. Like, what? That's like the breakup when someone says, I love you too much. You're too good for me. Wait a second. Then what's the problem here?
I've never heard the words Biden and scholar mentioned in the same sentence before either, by the way. That really jumped out at me.
You can tell he's one of those guys who has a Google alert for himself on his phone. Like every time someone writes something about Joe Biden, he's like, well, they're saying now.
I probably have a much higher IQ than you do,
and
I suspect.
Another 2 words I've never heard in the same sentence until just then, Obama and discipline.
You had a good point the other day, Grace, about which endorsement really actually matters in the Democrat primary other than Obama's. Like, no one wants Hillary Clinton's endorsement. They might actually pay Hillary Clinton not to endorse them.
And I thought it was funny when they were asking Bernie Sanders, who we all know, anyone who has even a slight idea of what went on with the DNC knows that Bernie Sanders harbors hard feelings against Hillary Clinton. They're asking him, are you going to call her for advice? And he goes, no, I don't think so. Well, why not? If besides all their own issues, couldn't you just say, well, she lost? What do you call the loser? Do you call the person who lost in in a massively impressive way for advice on how to win. It just doesn't make any sense.
Well, she might remind him that if he gets the nomination, maybe he should go to Wisconsin once or twice.
Yeah, she could tell him.
And don't send your snotty daughter to Michigan. You better go to Detroit yourself.
Exactly. So now we have another story that I brought to Howie's attention. I saw this yesterday in the New York Post, and I want to set it up, and then Howie's going to take over. Basically, in Hollywood, there's this website, and it's called. There's a few.
This is page 6, the New York Post. Too closet to call. Get it? Closet, not too close. Too closet in the gay sense. An intriguing blind item has set political gossips alight. Blind gossip pointed this gladiator of a gym. That's an interesting word. Why is gladiator used in this context? I wonder why. Here's the quote. This is the blind item. He thought that there was absolutely no way he could run as an openly gay candidate, so he is shocked by the fact that Mayor Pete is doing so well. Now he's missing out on all that support, so he has to rethink his strategy. He can't go full gay now, or else he would accused of being a liar. So he is thinking of announcing that he is bi. That way he can explain his new girlfriend.
Can we just take a moment and appreciate full gay? Going full gay? I mean, is Mayor Pete going full gay, or he's just kind of like partial gay?
Oh, he's definitely going
full gay.
Yeah. Yeah, he's got his.
Here's the thing.
I mean, he's not very flamboyant. It's not like he went out to his opening speech wearing, a gay pride paraphernalia.
No, but he's very comfortable with where he is. And then we should clarify, we have some amazing gay listeners, and we love the gay community. It's just that to only want to come out with that when you see that someone's politically doing better, you are going to look like a liar, because you have. And again, we have not said who this blind item is about, but it is pretty
I'm going to
shady.
Release the email about racial profiling.
That's weird, Steve, that you chose to play that.
I know,
out
just
right
like, I still can't figure out what the New York Post is talking about, calling this a gladiator of a gym item.
And I understand that the penalty comes with potential ousting from the Senate.
So if he announces he's bi, says this blind item, that way he could have a girlfriend and start courting the pro-gay support, especially the Hollywood money that is going to Buttigieg.
Yeah, so Buttigieg is having
the big fundraiser tomorrow night in Hollywood
with Gwyneth Paltrow, and all of the really big players in Hollywood are coming out for Pete Buttigieg, and so it does make sense that whoever this is feels like he missed the boat on this one. But my question is, what would make you think it wouldn't be a positive? Like, it's 2019, you know what I mean?
Right.
It's where the world is a very accepting place. Just seems a little strange.
I appreciate the comments of my colleagues. This is about the closest I'll probably ever have in my life to an I am Spartacus moment.
And once again, I don't know where these random. Steve has lost control of the board over there. I want to get to that cut because a lot of people have been texting and asking about it. Rep. David, help me pronounce this. Cicilline. So he was on.
You lived in Providence. You should know how to pronounce his name.
Was he?
He was the mayor
when I was there?
I think so.
Oh, I had other things going on. It was my college days. I wasn't as politically invested as I am now. He was on with Chris Matthews, and you've really lost it when Chris Matthews is telling you to pump the brakes. And anyone who thought that the Democrats were going to have this big reckoning after the Mueller report and maybe learn not to overreach so much,
that they were going to go on the wagon.
Now they're talking about handcuffing people out of the White House. Let's play this. This is cut 11.
But there's a third reason, a third method, which we can do right away. Since 1821, the Supreme Court has recognized the inherent right of Congress to hold individuals in contempt and to imprison them. That was reaffirmed in a case in 1935. Congress has the responsibility, and I would say the obligation, to hold individuals in contempt who do not comply with a lawful subpoena, who do not produce documents, and we ought to be prepared to imprison them because we have that inherent right.
I love you, but let me ask you this, Congressman. How do you get the sergeant at arms in the House to go pick up the Secretary of the Treasury, break past his Secret Service agents, grab him, and take him to Capitol Hill and put him into some calaboose or something? I can't see that.
Chris, that's exactly what happened in 1935. They put the person in custody.
Well, it didn't happen when Eric Holder was found in contempt of Congress, and that was significantly later than 1935, I do believe.
Chris Matthews is the king of pipe dreams at this point. There's no one who has more in denial about the Russian Mueller report than Chris Matthews. So for him to be telling this guy, this is unrealistic, you really know that you need a padded cell.
All right, we'll be right back. 844-500-4242. I'm Howie Carr.
Keep it here, chumps. More Howie Carr after this.
This half hour of the Howie Carr Show is brought to you by McNamara and Associates. If you need a lawyer, you need to call Frank McNamara. Call Frank today, 978-333-9608. That's 978-333-9608. Campers, this is Howie Carr, and I've got to say there is nothing like Destination Cold Springs, the place for everything camping. It started with a camp resort, then came the RV Center and Superstore, and now they have the region's largest state-of-the-art service center and body shop. At Cold Springs RV, the doors are always open so you can casually browse the huge selection of travel trailers, fifth wheels, toy haulers, motorhomes, and park models. You should have high expectations when shopping for a new or pre-owned RV. So go meet the team that is ready to listen to you. Cold Springs RV is ready with the best price and a massive selection of RVs on the lot and the new indoor showroom. The brand new state-of-the-art service center will take care of all makes and models, regardless of where you made the purchase. That includes the RV paint and body shop. Cold Springs RV is also the home of a Woodall's 10-star camp resort. Campers with high expectations go to Destination Cold Springs, Route 114 in Ware, New Hampshire, coldspringsrv.com. And now, another minute of Madam Speaker Nancy Pelosi.
But again, don't.
You have these wings, AOC and her group on one side.
It's like 5 people. They would say, play games, and then they'd say, open sesame. Except we don't say sesame, we say open Biden. But no, because we are not. We have the number is growing. We have 91 women. There are 115 women in Congress, 116. 15 are Republican, 91 are Democrats. I happen to be a manifestation of the women power that is coming forth now, but only one manifestation. It was like getting kicked in the back by a mule constantly. It was physical. It was so unbelievable. The Times found Lincoln. Not to be presumptuous to put ourselves in those categories, but the Times have found us.
Hello, America. Incredibly bad Christopher Walken impersonator here. Before, Neil Armstrong planted the Stars and Stripes on the Sea of Tranquility. Before, our greatest generation rescued freedom in World War II. Before, the Dust Bowl and the Great Depression. Before, we sent our doughboys over there in the war to end all wars. Before, the first musket ball flew in the Civil War, the brothers Matthews were making windows in Belfast, Maine. Over the past 165 years, my friends at Matthews Brothers have seen some wacky stuff come out of Washington. They always say, who cares? We're here to make wicked awesome windows. I guess, after a while, you kind of get used to it. As the boys used to say at the Lincoln Douglas debates, welcome to the monkey house. You can learn more about their wicked awesome Maine-made windows and doors, but only at better lumberyards and window professionals, or on the web at MatthewsBrothers.com. Matthews Brothers with 1 T, America's oldest window manufacturer.
The Moonbats always say Donald Trump isn't very bright. But what about Barack Hussein Obama? Let's listen to some of his greatest hits.
I've now been in 57 states. I think 1 left to go. I don't know what the term is in Austrian.
The Cambridge police acted stupidly.
And there has never been any man or woman more qualified for this office than Hillary Clinton.
There are neighborhoods around the country where it is easier for a 12 or 13-year-old to purchase a gun and cheaper than it is for them to get a book. I believe in the Second Amendment. It's there written on the paper.
If we fall for, a bunch of okey doke.
A few months ago, when you were asked what's the biggest geopolitical threat facing America, you said Russia, not Al Qaeda. You said Russia. In the 1980s are now calling to ask for their foreign policy back.
We all
all enjoy a good, stupid criminal story. Send your Police Blotter Facts Friday entries to Grace at HowieCarShow.com. You may win a prize, and Howie will definitely be amused. It's a win-win situation.
844-500-4242. We're back with Grace's News here.
Yes, it is Grace's News, and it is brought to you by my upcoming birthday on May 31st. May 31st, the last day of May. You are invited. It's going to be thebomb.com. Tickets are available now. They are priced to move. You should move fast if you want to join us. We'll have birthday cake, food, and adult beverages will be available for purchase from Mix 360. Go to HowieCarr.com, click the banner. You can't miss it. Steve made the banner. It's bright pink, and it's so me. So go to HowieCarr.com, click store. I'm very excited for my birthday.
We've had a few technical problems this afternoon. We're back on the air. We apologize for any difficulties any of our listeners have had, and we'll try to... We're going to power through, as Hillary Clinton would say.
Yes, indeed. Okay, so I think you'll have a lot to say about this story, Howie. I know I have strong opinions on it. California restaurants may add climate change surcharge. This is giving restaurants the option to add a 1% surcharge.
The option. I wonder how many restaurants will take the option
to diners' bills. Extra money will support environmentally friendly farming practices.
It's like, yeah, I'm going to pay an extra 1% on this feta cheese that had to be flown in from Italy, and then I'll feel good about it. Or maybe my pineapples, which had to be flown here from Hawaii.
Or the raspberries in the winter that came up from Chile.
This really aggravates me for several reasons. First of all, they should do what CVS does. They have that option where they say, do you want to donate $1? And then you feel like a jerk when you say no.
I don't feel like a jerk. I like to say no.
I don't feel like a jerk either, but I think that's the point, is that you ask people. And here's the other thing. I go out to eat a lot, okay? Not that this is happening in Boston, but who knows? It could go to Massachusetts quickly. I go out to eat a lot. It is very expensive. There's no place to park. I already have to pay food taxes and liquor taxes. I don't want to pay the hippie tax when I'm trying to be a social butterfly.
Well, you know, there's other problems in California, too. I mean, there are many other problems, but right now the price of a gallon of gasoline is up around $4 in California, and the politicians are irate. They're angry. They want to have some investigations in Seattle about how the prices of gasoline got out of control in California. Maybe it has something to do with the fact that they raised the gasoline tax in California, and that's why it costs more than anywhere else in the country.
California.
Maybe they've got all these environmental regulations. They can't open any new refineries in California, basically. Do you think that might have something to do with it? They have to ship everything in?
So let me get this straight, Nancy Pelosi. As I'm dodging poop on the ground and I'm looking at my map and it's completely browned out, I finally make my way to a restaurant, and then I got to pay extra to support some sort of virtue signaling 1% surcharge.
Grace, though, always remember that this money is earmarked for the environment. It won't be just going into the restaurant owner's pocket.
I'm never going to California
And once the climate is settled and the planet doesn't have a fever anymore, the tax will be sunsetted, as they always say.
Then you know what?
The money's going into a lockbox.
There's another story that I thought was very interesting. There's this movement happening around the country. Bike lane cups. Have you heard about this?
Cups?
They're putting red cups along the bike lanes all across the country to show people how unsafe it is for bikers right now. That, you know, the cars go into their lanes, so they'll have a cup with a sign on it, and then I guess when the cup topples over, it shows you that could have been a biker.
Isn't that littering?
Well, I hope that they plan to remove the cups when...
Bikers belong on the sidewalks anyways.
If they're really that upset, if they really do feel like it's very unsafe, and I know we have a lot of bikers out there, I don't want to brag, but I did purchase a stationary bike.
The mayor of Boston today was on another radio station, and he said that the way we're going to deal with the traffic, horrible congestion in the city of Boston is everybody needs to bike around the city.
Well, he better get some red Solo cups around the city because it's really a problem, I guess.
Today it's raining. This is about the 19th day out of 20 that it's raining, pouring buckets. At least it's not snowing.
It's going to be snowing in Chicago.
Detroit too, yeah. So, it's this kind of lovely weather, with 4 weeks of summer and, the other 48 weeks of winter. It's a beautiful climate in which to bike, especially when you're bringing home your groceries.
I was going to say, Howie, Chicago is expecting several inches of snow on Saturday, so I would like to issue a warning to any B-list actors out there to be careful, because we all know when it snows in Chicago, it does turn into MAGA country, and I don't want anyone to get into
that reminds me, did you hear about this story in Chicago where this woman, she's a 21-year-old woman, she did the same thing Jussie did?
Oh, God.
And they are throwing the book at her. And so the judge in the case said, I'd like to know why Ms. Clark, that's her name, is being treated differently than Jussie Smollett. It's a disorderly conduct case, a lot less egregious than Mr. Smollett's case. I have a problem with that. This smells big time, the judge said. Your office, meaning the DA, the state's attorney's office, created this mess. There's no publicity in this case. Press gets a hold of this, it'll be in the newspaper. Guess what? Press did get a hold of it. It is in the newspaper.
Music to our ears.
So Jussie Smollett, this millionaire black gay guy, gets away with creating a national scandal. And all this woman did was gave one of her friends access to her bank account, and then the person took out a lot of money, and then she reported it as a crime that someone had stolen. And she's
it doesn't even involve any props.
She's looking at jail time.
No Jussie, no peace. That's what I say. Do you know the cast of Empire is petitioning to get him back on for the 6th season?
Yeah, well, I'm going to quote the judge on that. This smells big time.
Indeed. Something's rotten in the town of Denmark. And in other news before I leave, the Clemson coach.
The town of Denmark?
Isn't that how it goes? I was in that play before.
The state of Denmark.
Oh, that's probably why I didn't have a big role in it. The Clemson coach, Dabo Swinney.
Yes, he won the national championship, I think, 2 out of the last 3 years.
You know how much his contract is for?
How much?
$93 million.
I think they had 3 defensive linemen drafted in the first round off the Clemson Tigers. They have a pretty good team. ACC, Atlantic Coast Conference. I'm Howie Carr. I was recently looking for something in my house, and I found a few family pictures in the drawer from a few years ago. One of the photos was a shot of me before I had my hair restored by DiStefano Hair Restoration. What struck me was the receding hairline. It was more than receding. I was going bald. I actually looked older in this picture than I do today, thanks to Dr. Highness and his team at DiStefano Hair Restoration. I remember those days from that picture when I used to look in the mirror and dreaded seeing my ever-increasing bald spot. Now when I look in the mirror, I see the new me with a full head of thick hair. So come on, guys. What are you waiting for? More hair to fall out? With a DiStefano IGT procedure, balding and hair loss are now optional. Stop procrastinating. Call now and get a free IGT consultation. Plus, financing is available with payments as low as $119 a month. Just call 800-858-HAIR to learn more. That's 800-858-HAIR. Call 800-858-HAIR or just visit hairman.com.
There are plenty of differences between Trump and the Democrats running for 2020, but the main one is Trump's pretty funny. Take a listen.
What advice would you give to the 25-year-old Donald Trump knowing what you know today?
Don't run for president. I'm not a drinker. I can honestly say I never had a beer in my life, okay? It's one of my only good traits. I don't drink. Whenever they're looking for something good, I say, I never had a glass of alcohol. I've never had alcohol. Can you imagine if I had? What a mess I'd be. I'd be the world's worst. Other countries, big countries, India, and others, we had to pay because they considered them a growing country. They were a growing country. I said, what are we? Are we allowed to grow too? Okay. No, are we allowed to grow? I try like hell to hide that bald spot, folks. I work harder. Doesn't look bad. Hey, we're hanging in. I should have saved the Pocahontas thing for another year. Because I've destroyed her political career, and now I won't get a chance to run against her, and I would have loved it. I don't want to knock out all of the good stuff and end up with somebody that's actually got talent. That would be terrible.
He's the co-sponsor of the Green New Deal, so what better time to play some of his greatest hits? Ladies and gentlemen, it's Mr. Frosty.
This is going to be a mission to save all of creation.
If you want to ignore that these changes are taking place and that they're having a dramatic impact, then you are in the right place.
Do you know what the winters were like at Plymouth Rock? Do you know what the winters were like at Plymouth Rock, Senator?
Well, here is the thing.
You don't? How long has your family been in Massachusetts?
We are new arrivals, and
Mr. President, American history was made last night. The Boston Patriots won the Super Bowl.
When the Second Amendment was written in order to maintain a well-regulated militia, they did not have in mind that people could purchase guns indiscriminately.
The president is acting like Pontius Pilate.
You're listening to the Howie Carr Show.
Hello, America. Incredibly bad Christopher Walken impersonator here. Over the past 165 years, my friends at Matthews Brothers have seen some incredibly baffling ideas come out of our nation's capital. Did you know that the government owns the rain, or that it's a federal crime to sell ham turkey, but not turkey ham? It's also against the law for Farmer John to sell raw milk. Matthews Brothers has built a reputation for solving window problems with products that are affordable, practical, and realistic. 3 words that are obviously not in the federal lexicon. We can be thankful that for something as important as windows and doors, you can rely on Matthews Brothers, the same company New England has trusted since before the Civil War. You can learn more about their wicked awesome Maine-made windows and doors, but only at Better Lumber Yards and Window Professionals, or on the web at MatthewsBrothers.com. Matthews Brothers with 1 T, America's oldest window manufacturer.
And now, a minute of wisdom from Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez.
Millennials and people and Gen Z and all these folks that come after us are looking up, and we're like, the world is going to end in 12 years if we don't address climate change. And your biggest issue is how are we going to pay for it? And this is the war. This is our World War II.
I think that there's a lot of people more concerned about being precisely, factually, and semantically correct than about being morally right.
But being factually correct is important.
It's absolutely important.
And if we work our butts off to make sure that we take back all 3 chambers of Congress, all 3 chambers of government, the presidency, the Senate, and the House in 2020, we can't start working in 2020.
The Democrat Party is so full of loonies, social justice warriors, progressives, whatever you want to call them, that sometimes certain moonbats get overlooked. So let's take this moment to shine the woke spotlight on Crazy Mazie Hirono.
I am not going to be a fool to Mitch McConnell's shenanigans. Why should any of us?
And it's not just a dog whistle, it's a bullhorn.
Bullhorns. It's racism. It's basically, for many people, it's anti-Semitic. It's white supremacy.
Why not take a stand and vote yes for it? Seems like you're trying to have it both ways, not be hung by it politically, but also not say that you don't support it.
I disagree with you, Katie, that why should we engage in the kind of sham shenanigans that Mitch McConnell is really good at?
I'm confused.
This was just a sham.
Guess who's perpetuating all of these kinds of actions? It's the men in this country, and I just want to say to the men in this country, just shut up and step up.
I think the noose is closing, and, Giuliani is like a loose cannon, and so is the president, frankly.
You're listening to the Howie Carr Show.
He is the youngest senator that is going to be running. In his video, he also mentioned he's the only senator that lives in the inner city, and he's an unmarried vegan. So a lot of very unique qualities Cory Booker brings to the table, Kate.
Now, I appreciate the comments of my colleagues. This is about the closest I'll probably ever have in my life to an I am Spartacus moment. I am Spartacus. I am Spartacus.
Joey, you like movies about gladiators?
Have you ever had an LGBTQ law clerk?
I've not been a judge, so I don't have any law clerks.
Someone working for you.
I'm to be honest, I don't know the sexual orientation of my staff.
When Dick Durbin called me, I had tears of rage when I heard about this experience in that meeting. And for you not to feel that hurt, tears of rage.
Would you just stop being so dramatic?
I'm a big believer that if this country hasn't broken your heart, then you don't love her enough.
Hello, America. Incredibly bad Christopher Walken impersonator here. Matthews Brothers is boring. In a world that's full of excitement and change, they are Dullsville, baby. When the world's talking about cow farts and tofu burgers, Matthews Brothers is talking about wicked awesome windows and doors. When the world is talking about train rides to Maui or biking to Orlando, Matthews Brothers is talking about consistently superior customer service. When the world is talking about tearing down the buildings and putting up new ones, Matthews Brothers is saying, we did mention we made windows, right? I said they're boring, not stupid. You can learn more about their wicked awesome, yet boring made windows and doors, but only at Better Lumberyards and Window Professionals, or on the web at MatthewsBrothers.com. Matthews Brothers with one T, America's oldest window manufacturer.
Joe Biden might be running for president in 2020, so we should play some of his greatest hits.
Barack and I finally reduced the disparity in sentencing, which we've been fighting to eliminate, in crack cocaine versus powder cocaine. Correct. It was a big mistake when it was made. We thought we were told by the experts that crack, you never go back.
You cannot go to a 7-Eleven or a Dunkin' Donuts unless you have a slight Indian accent.
If you want to protect yourself, get a double-barrel shotgun. If there's ever a problem, just walk out on the balcony, put that double-barrel shotgun, and fire 2 blasts.
They're going to put you all back in chains.
Better strap yourself in. It's time for the Howie Carr Show.
I assumed. Look, I was... Anyway.
Live from the Matthews Brothers Studios.
What are you proudest of in your administration? I know what I said? Not one single whisper of scandal.
Not one.
Not one single...
Well, I can think of a couple of things.
Unchained and unstoppable.
So I didn't want it to look like he was putting his thumb on the scale here, and that that I'm going to do this based on who I am, not by the president going out and trying to say this is the guy you should be with.
You just keep telling yourself that.
Who's your captain? Howie Carr.
Just in, first quarter GDP numbers have just been released, showing 3.2% growth for the first quarter. That is a beautiful number.
This number is so good, we don't even need to have that conversation. Really big numbers. For a first quarter number, it's incredible.
Better than estimates, unexpectedly higher.
It's an extraordinary number.
My whole life has been about winning.
Who do you love? Howie Carr.
The Supreme Court has recognized the inherent right of Congress to hold individuals in contempt and to imprison them. Congress has the responsibility, and I would say the obligation, to hold individuals in contempt who do not comply with a lawful subpoena, who do not produce documents, and we ought to be prepared to imprison them because we have that inherent right.
I love you, but let me ask you this, Congressman. How do you do it?
Rump swabs, hacks, and moonbats beware. It's Howie Carr.
Welcome to the show, 844-500-4242. That's the toll-free number. The GDP grew by 3.2% in the first quarter of the year, and I go to the Boston Globe website, and it's a non-event. The lead story, high-stakes hearing held on videotapes in Robert Kraft's solicitation case. They won't give it up. That's all the Boston Globe, which is owned by the Boston Red Sox, is interested in, is humiliating the owner of the New England Patriots. Gee, what a shock, huh? What a surprise. Petty grievances among billionaires. Okay, 844-500-4242. It's now time for the Chump Line.
Howie, Grace said you got blonde hair. Is she looking for a raise?
What do you mean? It is blonde. It's Arctic blonde, as somebody said yesterday. Used to be brown, and now it's blonde.
Shelley Richmond Joseph. She's a good girl. She's a very good girl.
Yes. At least it's raining today, so no one will see the tears she is weeping in the shame of her disgrace, her indictment, the fact that she's going to lose her $185,000 a year job, that she's going to lose the pension that comes behind it, that she's probably going to lose her license to practice law, and finally, she may also end up going to prison for a while. Let's hope so. The Chump Line is brought to you every weekday at this time by Matthews Brothers, America's oldest window manufacturer, who this week is remembering the 244th anniversary of the battles of Lexington and Concord, when average citizens risked everything to fight for the freedom and liberties that we take for granted today, something that we should never lose sight of.
Come on, take it easy on Uncle Joe Biden. Give him a couple of good plugs, will you?
Somebody wrote today on the internet that Joe Biden has hair plugs that are older than the average voter in the Democratic primaries. I think he's right about that. You can see how far hair transplants have come from looking at old pictures of Joe Biden when they actually were just plugs on the side of his hair, going all the way up to me. Thanks to Dr. DiStefano.
Here's a little advice for Maura Healey. You might want to get the word out to the state judges if they're thinking of helping any illegal aliens. Tell them to hold it.
Yeah, I think that's the message that the U.S. Attorney was sending out to all of the states' judges. And I think it sends a message to judges across the country, too, that there but for the grace of God go you, as they see Judge Joseph coming out of the courthouse in Boston yesterday, crying her eyes out.
Hillary Clinton carries a bottle of hot sauce in her pocketbook, and crying Judge Joseph carries an onion in her pocketbook.
I don't know. I don't think she was making those tears up.
No, I don't either. You know, even those Hollywood stars that have been going in and out of the courthouse the last month or so on the Varsity Blues college admissions scandal, none of them have been crying. It's not a good look. I mean, if you're going to cry in court, and she should know this as a judge, you don't cry or collapse at your initial court appearance or your arraignment. You know, when you plead not guilty, you cry and you fall down when it's time to be sentenced, and maybe the judge will feel sorry for you and trim a few months off the sentence he or she was thinking of handing out.
Hey, Joe Biden, you have a very good memory. You remember that every candidate Obama endorsed in 2016 election lost it.
Yeah, I'd like to hook him up to a polygraph, though, and say, did you really ask Obama not to endorse you? I'm thinking that the thing would start going like this.
Mayor, what's up with all these red solo cups on the side of the bike lane? I keep swerving to check them. I found no booze, but I have run over 5 bikers so far.
Yeah, they better watch out where they put those red cups. They could distract drivers.
I think letting illegals go what was almost intoxicating to this judge, and she lacked the enzymes.
That's kind of an inside Massachusetts joke. There was an Ecuadorian illegal alien a few years back who killed an American who was riding a motorcycle in Milford, Massachusetts. And they hired a court psychologist on our dime, of course, to defend this guy. And he called the Ecuadorian, he was, I guess, part Indian, he called him a Mongoloid. That was in the psychologist's report. And he said as a Central or South American Mongoloid, he lacked the enzyme to metabolize alcohol. Really? So if you ever get arrested for drunk driving, just tell the judge that you lack the enzyme to metabolize alcohol. See how far you get.
Guess what, Joe? They're whispering now.
Jay from Chelsea says, Judge Joseph, prison, losing her pension, public shame, losing her job, not in this state. I don't know, Jay. You read the indictment. I think they got her pretty much cold on this one. And I don't know how she can. If they got rid of a judge last year because he was sleeping with one of the court personnel. This is a lot more serious than that.
Yes, Joe, you asked Obama not to endorse you. And every time I play the lottery, I hope I don't win.
Yes, very well put.
Now that Hondo Havlicek is gone, Howie Cousy is the greatest dribbler in New England history.
Actually, Coos is still around. So's Heinsohn, and so's Dave Cowens. But my nickname in high school was Coos, after Bob Cousy. because I was such a adroit dribbler. Not.
Howie, Bill Weld calling. When I'm elected president, I'm going to give Steve, Grace, and I blue check marks. I mean, I've never had it, but certainly blue check mark must be better than Pabst Blue Ribbon.
All right. Another texter is wondering about the immigration status of the driver from the Houston man who was involved in the fatal crash in Colorado today that killed 4 people. Rogel Lazaro Aguilara Medeiros, 23. Why are you jumping to conclusions about, why are you asking these questions?
Howie, Bill Weld calling.
I was so surprised that Creepy Joe didn't thank President Trump for a robust economy so that these moonbats can actually give to his campaign.
Yeah, he claims he raised $6.3 million in the first 24 hours. Of course, he was making these desperate calls about 48 or 72 hours ago saying, I've got to raise more money than Beto or Bernie Sanders did, and they raised $6 million. So he's, what a coincidence that he's just a little bit over what the other 2 killer bees, Beto and Bernie, raised.
Yeah, there wasn't one whisper of a scandal because it was all loud and clear.
Yeah. It was more like a roar of scandal.
That was your last chump line message. Thank you for calling Howie Carr, you chump.
All right, that's it for the Chump Line today. The Chump Line is the recorded voicemail message service of the Howie Carr Show. You can call and leave a message at any hour of the day or night, including weekends. The Chump Line number, if you'd like to leave such a message, is the same as our telephone line, 844-500-4242. Press 2 for the Chump Line. Leave your message. We may or may not play it at this time each weekday. The Chump Line is brought to you by Matthews Brothers, America's oldest window manufacturer, who this week is remembering the 244th anniversary of the battles of Lexington and Concord, when average citizens risked everything to fight for the freedom and liberties we take for granted today, something we should never lose sight of.
Come on, take it easy on Uncle Joe Biden. Give him a couple of good plugs, will you?
Plugs Biden, his old nickname back in the day. I'm Howie Carr.
Howie Carr. You can trust him. He's not like the others.
April is here and it's time for vacations. But what about a Bankscation? At Bank Chevrolet Buick GMC, we're making every day in April relaxing with great deals that will take you away. Look for the beach ball tags for special savings. Go see over 2,000 new and pre-owned vehicles in stock, all in one convenient location. You'd have to test drive over 70 different cars and trucks every day just to see them all. At Banks in Concord, shopping for a vehicle is as relaxing as a day at the beach. You'll find the lowest, most transparent pricing and a friendly, no-pressure staff. Right now, GM truck lessees can get up to $16,000 off all 2018 Denali's in stock with 0% financing for up to 84 months while supplies last. Must finance with GM Financial. See more April Bankscations offers online at banksautos.com. Our full-service internet department can help you take care of the details before you even walk through the door. Bank Chevrolet Buick GMC in Concord, New Hampshire. Real prices, huge inventory, always in stock. GMC, we are professional grade.
And now, some of my favorite fake Indian cuts of all time.
I'm not going to ask you for your favorite curse word. Actually, I am. Do you have a favorite curse word? Poop. Poop? Oh, that's a goody two-shoes favorite curse word if I ever heard one.
Are you kidding? Have you ever seen a woman like me look you straight in the face after you finished some long explanation of something and then just said, poop? Hold on a sec. I'm going to get me a beer.
I am not sure what she's talking about as far as a rally with.
It was a rally in Bern, Oregon, is that you have to figure out who you are. I grew up in a family that was barely hanging on to the ragged edge of the middle class. And my Aunt B has walked by that picture at least 1,000 times, remarked that her father, my papa, had high cheekbones like all of the Indians do.
So are you tired of being tired? Well, then it's time to get the tea. Hey, it's Lisa here to tell you about this all-natural, all-organic tea I've been drinking that has had great results for over 20 years. It's called Life Change Tea, and it's specially formulated to help detoxify and cleanse your kidneys, liver, colon, and blood all at once. The colon is one of the most ignored organs in the human body. The faster that waste is eliminated from the body, the less time that waste sits in our intestines, spreading toxins to our bloodstream. This tea helps cleanse chemicals caused by outside intruders from our entire digestive system. And get this, weight loss can be a side effect. And with continued use of the tea, you can experience clearer, healthier, younger looking skin, increased energy, and a happier outlook on life. So if you're tired of being tired, get the Life Change Tea at getthetea.com. That's getthetea.com. And like me, you'll be glad you did.
And now, an interview with the Emperor of Hate, Howie Carr.
Is Kennedy Babylon 2 your last book?
No, if I think of another topic for a book I want to write, I'll go for it. But I think it's the last of my Kennedy Babylon series. I made Kennedy Babylon 2 kind of long because I wanted to get everything in there. Now there's other stuff I could write about, but I'm Kennedy'd out.
Since having the sleeve operation, do you miss not eating big meals?
No, I don't. I can still eat what I used to eat. I just can't eat as much. I'm now very surprised how much I used to eat. I'm surprised at how much people I eat with consume. It's just hard to believe that I used to eat that much. But no, it's not a problem.
How is Mr. Gooner since Pearl's passing?
Mr. Gooner is drowning his sorrows in food.
What is the most trouble you ever got into as a kid?
My father was giving me grief one time up at Moosehead Lake in Maine, and I threw a rock at him. He didn't much like that.
Howie Carr is a man of many talents, but he can't do the chump line without chumps. Leave him a message today and try to be funny. Please call 1-844-500-4242 and press 2 for the chump line.
The texters are sending in campaign slogans for Joe Biden that are being considered. Grope and Change 2020. Embracing America 2020. Remember Hillary Clinton, I'm with her? Well, Joe Biden's going to say, I'm behind you 2020. For a hands-on president 2020. 844-500-4242. Time for the poll question of the day. Are you a concerned citizen who cares about limited taxation? Join the Massachusetts Fiscal Alliance and become a member of the state's largest conservative advocacy organization. Union bosses and the socialist left want you to ignore this message. Don't. Visit massfiscal.org and join Mass Fiscal today. Steve, what's the poll question? What are the results thus far?
What was the Obama administration's biggest scandal? Fast and Furious, the Benghazi cover-up, IRS targeting conservative groups, the attempted coup we're calling Russiagate, Bo Bergdahl, the Gold King mine spill, or illegal executive orders?
There were so many. So many. They got a dreamer for beating a kid to death today, by the way. I'll get to that later, probably in the last hour of the show. I'm still voting for the attempted coup. I know Benghazi was big, and I think Benghazi is winning, but I think trying to overthrow the government of the United States is even bigger than trying to cover up the botched non-defense of an American consulate.
Yeah, right now 25% say Russiagate is the biggest scandal, and maybe it might be polling a little higher if I'd said attempted coup instead of Russiagate. But the leader is Benghazi cover-up with 41%.
And the others are also rads. And we do have IRS investigations. People are saying, what about the IRS targeting
13%
the Tea Party?
say IRS targeting the Tea Party was the biggest scandal.
I mean, that's the kind of stuff that Nixon went down for, or just even talking about it, talking about using the IRS against people. And those were going to be listed in the articles of impeachment after they got their hands on the Oval Office tapes. Anyway, 844-500-4242. So there was this hearing today in West Palm Beach on the Bob Kraft solicitation tapes. This is this is a day. Usually this is a time when the NFL gets a lot of good publicity. The draft was last night. It's one of the more interesting nights of the year for for ESPN, certainly, and they spend a lot of money on it. The Patriots drafted a replacement for Gronkowski and all that. But the only news is about this hearing. The lawyers for the owner of the New England Patriots are trying to suppress the video of him getting his alleged rub and tug from the masseuses, so-called, down in Jupiter, Florida, at the Orchids of Asia Spa. So they were having a hearing on it today. No trial yet. These are just hearings to suppress the video. Jupiter Police Detective Andrew Sharp testified today he wasn't sure whether the Orchids of Asia Spa was an alleged massage parlor offering illegal paid sex until he saw a golf cart with 8 men pull up outside it. One of the men went inside the spa, located in a shopping plaza in the coastal city, just north of Palm Beach, where Bob Kraft lives, and then came outside and stood near friends in the golf cart. He did this is what the detective said. He did a touchdown Jesus with his hands and walked back inside, Sharp recalled. And it was at that point that I understood it was not a regular massage parlor. He didn't understand. Why couldn't
he just be excited about getting a massage?
Or, hey, they've got a special today. It's Tuesday. They're trying to gin up business.
Touchdown, reflexology, we found it.
Do we really think he didn't know what the massage parlor was all about until that golf cart? And by the way, how big of a golf cart was it that 8 guys could fit in it?
I'm guessing it was probably an 8-seater.
I don't know any 8-seat golf carts. That's what I'm saying. I mean, I know
they have them.
They do?
Yeah, of course.
I'm not familiar with them. I'm used to four-seaters at most. Absolutely at most. Okay, so then there was another one. Here's some more information that came out today. When they, the first time Kraft went,
you could get an 8-seater golf cart for just over $10,000.
Well, that's not what I had when I lived on Great Diamond Island in Casco Bay in Portland, Maine. I had a 4-seater at most. So when he got his first massage, they decided to stop him. The cops decided to have a ruse and stop him. He wasn't driving, but they asked for his identification anyway. So here's what happened when they pulled over Bob Kraft and discovered who he was. Bob Kraft flashed one of his Super Bowl rings and asked a Jupiter police officer if he was a fan of the Miami Dolphins when the Patriots owner was stopped in Florida moments after he allegedly paid 2 women to perform a sex act on him, according to court records. Prosecutors wrote in their filing today, Robert Kraft was very polite and respectful during the whole process. He asked the officer if he was a Dolphins fan. He then told the officer he was the owner of the Patriots and showed his Super Bowl ring. Kraft also mentioned that he was heading to Kansas City the next day, where the Patriots were scheduled to play the Chiefs in the AFC Championship game. The officer did not know who Kraft was prior to stopping him. So that's the latest. And the rest of it is just, routine police filings, that kind of thing. 844-500-4242. Did you hear about this vegan cafe in Australia? They decided it was run by feminists.
Australian accent coming in 3, 2, 1.
A vegan cafe, mate, in Australia, down under here, that levied a tax on male customers is to close after becoming the punching bag of the internet. Everybody just has a few Fosters and puts some shrimp on the barbie and starts making sport of Handsome Hair. Was accused of reverse sexism after opening in Melbourne, mate, in 2017. Its owners provoked debate by offering women priority seating and charging men an extra 18% 1 week a month. How much did they charge if you brought in a Joey? Tie me kangaroo down, sport, at the Handsome Hair. I'm Howie Carr.
Cape Gunworks, Hyannis. Just one more reason to visit Cape Cod, one of the largest gun stores and ranges around. Do something new and have a range outing with coworkers or friends at Cape Gunworks. Memberships available. but walk-ins are welcome. Take our firearm certification course, attend date night, or even ladies' night. What do you think, Grace?
I had a blast learning gun safety and shooting at the range at Cape Gunworks. Trust me, ladies, you need to be prepared. Visit Cape Gunworks in Hyannis today, or check them out online at capegunworks.com.
It keeps getting better. The Subaru of New England Love Spring event is here. Celebrate in a brand new 2019 Subaru Ascent. Lease for only $339 per month for 36 months with $29.99 due at signing. Featuring standard symmetrical all-wheel drive and EyeSight driver assist technology, the Ascent helps keep your loved ones safe. Details at SubaruofNewEngland.com. Get a great deal on the Ascent and go love spring.
The Democrat Party is so full of loonies, social justice warriors, progressives, whatever you want to call them, that sometimes certain moonbats get overlooked. So let's take this moment to shine the woke spotlight on Eric Swalwell.
You tweeted in support of a proposal of a Biden-Swalwell ticket.
Yeah, or Swalwell-Biden, Wolf. I'm open to entertaining both variations. The president has a fixer. Innocent people don't have fixers.
Which part of
it hasn't been proved factual?
Well, Christopher Steele himself said it was not a finished work product, and everyone who analyzed it said.
Which part was not proved factual?
Are you serious?
Bodyguards should have the same guns that I have to protect my family.
They're America's bodyguards, Tucker.
They're not. They're
Don't
yours.
denigrate them like that. This is very similar to many of the witnesses we had in our Trump-Russia investigation. A number of times we would ask a witness a question, and they would take a timeout, consult with their lawyers for 5 to 10 minutes, and then come back, and we figured, you know what, we already know the answer.
Campers, this is Howie Carr, and I've got to say there is nothing like Destination Cold Springs, the place for everything camping. It started with a camp resort, then came the RV Center and Superstore, and now they have the region's largest state-of-the-art service center and body shop. At Cold Springs RV, the doors are always open so you can casually browse the huge selection of travel trailers, fifth wheels, toy haulers, motorhomes, and park models. You should have high expectations when shopping for a new or pre-owned RV. So go meet the team that is ready to listen to you. Cold Springs RV is ready with the best price and a massive selection of RVs on the lot and the new indoor showroom. The brand new state-of-the-art service center will take care of all makes and models, regardless of where you made the purchase. That includes the RV paint and body shop. Cold Springs RV is also the home of a Woodall's 10-star camp resort. Campers with high expectations go to Destination Cold Springs, Route 114 in Ware, New Hampshire. ColdSpringsRV.com.
And now, an interview with the Emperor of Hate, Howie Carr.
Did you have any pets when you were younger?
I had a cat named Dexter. That was my first pet. And then I had possession of 2 poodles when I lived in Palm Beach, Princess and Frisky. They weren't really my dogs, but I took care of them. They lived with me. So they were my dogs. I love those poodles.
When you were a kid, what was the best gift you ever received?
I got this wooden fort from FAO Schwartz in Palm Beach, about the age of 6 or 7, 10 soldiers to go along with it. Such a cool fort. I had that fort for maybe close to 10 years.
What is your all-time favorite movie?
Probably Goodfellas. I love Goodfellas. I love it even more than The Godfather.
What is your favorite dessert?
Oh, that's a tough one. Probably chocolate ice cream, followed by vanilla ice cream, followed by coffee ice cream.
Thank you, New England, for supporting Music Drives Us. Since 2006, we have used the power of music to benefit communities throughout the 6 states of New England. During this time, we've proudly supported more than 200 schools and donated upwards of 1,000 instruments. And this year, we're getting ready to donate all over again. Our work is made possible through your continued support of our musical mission. Whether you donated, volunteered at our events, attended our concerts, or engaged with us on social media, thank you. We hope you'll stay tuned with what we have in store for this year because it'll be our best year yet. Visit us at musicdrivesus.org. That's musicdrivesus.org. Or follow us at Music Drives Us on social. Together, we can keep music in our schools.
live from the Matthews Brothers Studios.
We have a great book deal today. This is the last day of it. My 2 Kennedy Babylon books, A Century of Scandal and Depravity, Volumes 1 and 2. This is almost 600 pages of scandal and tabloid gossip and trash about the Kennedy family, once known as America's first family, now just disgraces. Volumes 1 and 2, Kennedy Babylon 1 and 2. And it's they usually retail for about $40, and right now we're offering both books for $9.99. That's a hell of a deal. You can order them and they're autographed. HowieCarrShow.com. Go to HowieCarrShow.com and click on store. You can get both books for $9.99 together for $9.99. But it's only through midnight tonight. The special ends tonight. You're not going to get a better buy than this anytime. So get them now. Autograph, great gift for Mother's Day, Father's Day, graduation, or just for reading yourself. All right, it's Friday evening, Friday afternoon, whatever you want to call it, and it's time for Police Blotter Facts Friday.
Whenever the laws of any state are broken, a duly authorized organization swings into action.
All week long, we ask you to send in funny items from your local daily or weekly newspaper, or many newspapers have a column that's written by the police department. They call it the police log or the police blotter. That's why we call it the Police Blotter Facts Friday. Send in those items to grace@HowieCarrShow.com, grace@HowieCarrShow.com, and just slug them Police Blotter Facts Friday, and she'll see them and she'll read them. And we will read the best ones. It could be a standalone story. It doesn't have to come from the police blotter or log column. But as long as they're somewhat funny, that's all we ask. And you can still fax them to us as well at 857-284-8864, 857-284-8864. At this time, every Friday evening, we read the best entries of the week, and the 2 best entries of the week get a nice prize. What do they get this week, Grace?
You're going to get a copy of your book, What Really Happened. It's all about the election of Donald J. Trump in 2016. Okay, so Howie has said this before. Easter is not as crazy of a holiday for families as Thanksgiving, but there is some stories that usually come out of Easter.
Yeah, a lot of people get together and they have a ham or,
and there's usually
or lamb.
Some sort of, everyone's getting off Lent, some sort of alcohol involved.
So how about that Mueller report, huh?
Man claiming to be Jesus stole donation box on Easter Sunday. This is out of Michigan.
Well, I mean, if anyone has the right to take the donation box, it's Jesus.
Now, according to the New York Post, his name is Quentin Alexander Hunt. But according to him, his name is Jesus Christ. And he stole...
What's his middle initial, H?
Yes. And he stole $831 from the Eternal Mother Temple in Pontiac by insisting he was Jesus while asking for the money. After being taken into custody,
This is why a lot of churches now have armed security protection. It's not just to protect them from terrorists, but, who knows, someone coming in and stealing the collection plate.
Yeah, and he had to be subdued with a stun gun, otherwise known as a taser.
Don't tase me, bro! Don't tase me!
The tabernacle just happened to have a taser around the altar.
I think the police brought the taser.
It was an electrifying service.
Florida man stabbed nephew for hogging bathroom. Authorities say a 72-year-old Florida man, and I know you're going to ask, Howie, is this DeLand, Florida? DeLand.
Yeah, not near me.
Okay, so we can all rest easy. The victim lives in his vehicle in his father's driveway, and he said that his father...
we have zoning ordinances that prohibit that in the town of Palm Beach.
Oh, you do. There would be none of this shenanigans in Palm Beach. So he lives in the driveway in his vehicle, and his father allows him to use the bathroom. He was about to get in the shower when his uncle, Dan Johnson, started banging on the bathroom door, complaining...
Dan Johnson?
Yes.
Is he any relation to anybody in Wisconsin that we know?
He's a distant relative of Jan.
Okay.
The victim said he opened the door and was stabbed repeatedly with a knife. Johnson told investigators the victim had taken a step towards him when he was
charged at.
So he had to go to the bathroom, and he just happened to be holding a knife with him? He was bringing a knife into the bathroom?
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, I don't know. Maybe the uncle went to the kitchen once he realized this is really taking too long. But that is one of those things. A big bathroom really does make for a more peaceful home.
Someone went back to the Pontiac, Michigan story. He said, did Jesus change the $800 into wine?
I'm sure he wanted to.
That was the plan, yeah.
If not, if he didn't,
hold the fishes and loaves. I just want $800 worth of wine.
He might have wanted something even more potent than wine, but we don't know. Protester glues her breasts to ground outside Goldman Sachs.
Okay.
A woman has glued herself.
This is in New York.
No, this is actually in London, to the road outside the Goldman Sachs offices.
I wouldn't be gluing anything to any sidewalks in San Francisco, for instance. But I don't think I'd want to be doing it anywhere, but especially not San Francisco.
Does she realize that this is just going to hurt her, not the Goldman Sachs people, right?
Well, she's a climate change activist, Steve.
It's starting to make more sense.
And she was protesting in the financial district to highlight what they call the business world's role in our collective suicide. So she put some glue on herself, and this says her protest, they have pictures, and it says her protest was spotted by passengers on the double-decker bus. Imagine you're on a double-decker bus in London, and that's what you see. But yes,
Governor, what's that lady doing?
They had to pull her off the street. But it made me think of the people here who chained themselves on I-93. That looks like child's play compared to this. This is sacrifice. This is something.
We used to super glue quarters to the floor of the classroom and watch our math teacher try and pick them up.
There's a lot of difference between
quarters.
Yeah, quarters and bodily parts.
Yeah, I know. I think ours was better.
Man who threw urine on 2 MTA workers is arrested.
This in New York?
Yes, this is in New York, and this is a happy story because this guy was a terror to the bus drivers in New York. The 21-year-old suspect faces felony charges. The unidentified suspect was busted Wednesday afternoon, not for the pee, but because he groped a 31-year-old woman, and police were somehow able to connect the urine incidents to the groping.
Things must be getting more civilized on the New York MTA if they could narrow it down that quickly.
I know, and you know what? You know how he did it? Because I was curious. He would take a water bottle. He would fill up a water bottle and splash them with it. Can you imagine if I was driving around a bus, just going through my day? Those people work hard. They work. They're in that bus all day long. And then someone had the audacity. I would open up, as you would say, Howie, open up a can of whoop. I would not be happy.
I don't think you would, Grace. I think you learn pretty quickly if you're a bus driver that you just take it.
Oh, pee though? I mean, at least it's sterile. Florida teenager arrested for potato attack on his stepsister.
Potato. Was it a baked Idaho, or was it a russet gold, or was it a sweet potato? What kind of potato was it?
I believe it was an Idaho potato. He's accused of striking.
Sure wasn't a Maine potato from Aroostook County?
He was accused of striking his stepsister in the head with a thrown potato after she failed to pay him enough attention. Tyler Scott Parker.
Since when is a brother concerned about having his sister pay attention to him?
Yeah, I know. There's a lot of elements of the story that
don't make sense.
Red flags. He was seen yelling at the victim, and he threatened to throw a potato at her if she didn't stop ignoring him. Apparently, she did not stop ignoring him. That's when he threw the spud at her face and hit her in the head.
And she said, "Pass the sour cream."
Woman claims burglars stole her mom's ashes and peed on her bed.
What is this? Was this in Moscow at the Ritz-Carlton?
This is actually in Houston. One of 2 men who broke into a Houston woman's home swiped an urn containing the ashes of her mother and peed on her bed. And that's not all. There's more to this story. The guy that we know is Marcus Cruz Ramirez, although he did have an accomplice. Is
that the burglar?
Yes, and I'll show you his mugshot in a moment. The homeowner reported the thieves stole numerous valuable items, including 3 laptops, an iPad, jewelry, cash, and her mom's remains.
Does Ramirez have tattoos on his neck?
No, but he has a very interesting beard. Some might call it a scraggly beard.
Squirrely, as Merle Haggard would call it.
She also told investigators one of the burglars peed on her bed during the theft. Turns out this guy's a serial criminal. And he does
Funny thing about burglars, they very seldom catch a burglar on his first house break.
But Howie, it's like, you're going to steal the laptops, okay. You're going to steal cash, okay. But the urn? Do they even dump the ashes out, or do they take all of it with them?
Maybe Ramirez thought that she was keeping a stash of drugs in the urn.
Well,
that was a good hiding place for it.
Yeah, well, he's going to be sorely disappointed.
Let me see his picture.
Okay.
Oh God, he is kind of scary.
He's not the kind of guy you'd want peeing on your bed.
He looks like Fu Manchu, as a matter of fact.
And Howie, when I get back, I actually have a story about a female rapper in the news.
A female rapper in the news. What do you want me to do here, Steve? Okay, 844-500-4242. I thought you wanted me to do something else. I'm Howie Carr.
He's suave, he's debonair, he's Howie Carr.
This half hour of the Howie Carr Show is brought to you by Orion Metal Exchange. Protect your investments with gold and silver today with the experts I trust at Orion Metal Exchange. Go to OrionMetalExchange.com, OrionMetalExchange.com.
Hello, America. Incredibly bad Christopher Walken impersonator here. Over the past 165 years, my friends at Matthews Brothers have seen some incredibly baffling ideas come out of our nation's capital. Did you know that the government owns the rain, or that it's a federal crime to sell ham turkey, but not turkey ham? It's also against the law for Farmer John to sell raw milk. Matthews Brothers has built a reputation for solving window problems with products that are affordable, practical, and realistic. 3 words that are obviously not in the federal lexicon. We can be thankful that for something as important as windows and doors, you can rely on Matthews Brothers, the same company New England has trusted since before the Civil War. You can learn more about their wicked awesome Maine-made windows and doors, but only at Better Lumber Yards and Window Professionals, or on the web at MatthewsBrothers.com. Matthews Brothers with 1 T, America's oldest window manufacturer.
And now, an interview with the Emperor of Hate, Howie Carr.
Whether it's Kennedy Babylon 1 or 2, which chapter was your favorite to write?
I think my favorite chapters, plural, would be the chapters about O'Barr, the famous 1991 rape trial of William Kennedy Smith, because I was there at the trial and I knew the town of Palm Beach and I knew all the bars that they were getting wasted in. I knew the mansion comfortably numb by the sea, and it was just a great thing. And when I went to Mass, I get to sit behind him at St. Edward's every Sunday.
Have you ever been confronted by a moonbat in real life?
Yeah, I mean, over and over again at book signings, people come up to me and say I'm a hate monger.
Both Kennedy Babylon 1 and 2 have amazing caricatures. Which one's your favorite?
I think my favorite caricature was of Joe Kennedy. When the caricature came back, I said, it's only lacking one thing. You need a swastika armband.
April is here and it's time for vacations. But what about a Bankscation? At Bank Chevrolet Buick GMC, we're making every day in April relaxing with great deals that will take you away. Look for the beach ball tags for special savings. Go see over 2,000 new and pre-owned vehicles in stock, all in one convenient location. You'd have to test drive over 70 different cars and trucks every day just to see them all. At Banks in Concord, shopping for a vehicle is as relaxing as a day at the beach. You'll find the lowest, most transparent pricing and a friendly, no-pressure staff. Right now, GM truck lessees can get up to $16,000 off all 2018 Denali's in stock with 0% financing for up to 84 months while supplies last. Must finance with GM Financial. See more April Bankscations offers online at banksautos.com. Our full-service internet department can help you take care of the details before you even walk through the door. Bank Chevrolet Buick GMC in Concord, New Hampshire. Real prices, huge inventory, always in stock. GMC, we are professional grade.
And now, an interview with the Emperor of Hate, Howie Carr.
So now you've broken your elbow. Have you ever broken any other bones?
When I was 8 years old, I broke my leg. I was playing touch football in Portland, and a big kid, a 15-year-old, tackled me. When I was in my 30s, I was going down the stairs, and one of the kids' toys was on the stairs, and I tripped on it and broke my foot. I lost a tooth playing touch football when I was just out of Deerfield. I got smacked in the jaw. My tooth went up, and I still have a crown from that mishap. I have a replacement hip, and now I have a bunch of pins in my left elbow.
When do you plan to retire?
I don't plan on retiring. As an old football coach once said, once you retire, there's only one big moment left. You know what that is.
Every weekday at 4:30, the eyes of the nation turn to Grace for the news. You can watch her live on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter, even if she's still missing that little blue check mark.
844-500-4242. What's up with you, Grace? What are you dancing around for?
It's almost
Friday.
The weekend. Why aren't you dancing?
Friday.
She can almost smell the Tito's, Howie.
Yeah. I got a lime. I'm ready to go. Guys, Police Water Facts Friday, which is a fan favorite segment, if I do say so myself, is brought to you, as always, by Piantadosi Baking Company, celebrating over 100 years of baking excellence since 1916. I have a few more runners up before we get to our winners. Rapper arrested for sending son to school in Lyft ride.
I thought this was America.
What's wrong with that?
He was 5.
Okay.
A New Orleans rapper known for a raunchy charged...
A rapper made a raunchy song? I can't believe
sexually
that.
charged viral hit was arrested after sending her 5-year-old son to school.
That means nobody bought it.
Alone in a ride-sharing service. Rioni Oliver, who goes by, that's not her stage name, first of all, so hold on.
That's her Christian name. Named after Saint Rioni. Okay.
Her rapper name is Game Over Reedy.
Game Over.
I'm sure you've heard of her before. She got the lift, and she said she put her 5-year-old son in there, and then she told the Lyft driver that she would not be getting in with him and went back upstairs. And the Lyft driver tried to explain to her he can't drive this little boy without an adult accompanying him. And she didn't listen, so then he proceeded to drop the little boy off at a police station.
I think Game Over Reedy needs a little help with her eyebrows if you're offering, Grace.
And it turns out she was later taken into custody. She had 2 outstanding traffic warrants. Meth-smoking Florida man attacks mattress in jealous rage. This is Fort Walton Beach. A lot of stuff happens there.
It's on the other side of the state.
Oh, of course it is. An apparently hallucinating Florida man used a bedpost to attack a mattress where he thought a man was hiding who his girlfriend was cheating on him with. Felipe Oquendo.
And people say meth screws up your mind.
I know. Why would anyone want to cheat on him?
began acting erratically early Friday. The girlfriend told deputies he thought she was cheating on him with a man that he thought he saw in the mattress.
He saw a man in the mattress. Okay.
He's just so in love.
Someone wants to know the rapper in New Orleans. You sure her name wasn't Rice Aroni? San Francisco treat.
Man ran prostitution ring out of parents' basement.
Oh, I read about this one today. This was in the New York Post.
So this was a Long Island man, and it's what he actually did was really sad. He got all these girls like hooked on drugs in his basement and stuff. But just the headline itself, it just made me think. It says his name is Rodeo, Raymond Rodeo III. It said his parents were unaware of what was going on.
This wasn't his first rodeo.
Here's the thing. If you're going to live in your parents' basement, that's bad enough. Like, you're already, kind of mooching off your parents. The least you can do is not run a prostitution
Did you read the
ring.
whole story? I mean, he had family photos. He's running this. He's got this prostitution ring in his loser basement room, and he's got family photos and a picture of Jesus on the wall.
Which one?
It's his camouflage, his cover.
Which one? The Jesus that we just read about earlier, or Jesus? Jesus. Okay. No, I only got the shortened version of the story, Howie. I didn't read the huge long one that you probably did. Okay, so now we have the 2 winners. Actually, we have a little bit of time, so I'll read one more. LAPD accidentally runs over sunbathing woman at the beach.
I hate it when that happens.
A sunbather, can you imagine? I would be livid. A sunbather in California found out there's no SPF strong enough to protect against cars after a police cruiser accidentally ran her over on Venice Beach.
I'm glad the reporter thought it was so funny.
I know, geez. That's kind of a sassy little line there. They were performing a routine patrol of the beach, and that's when they hit her. But luckily, there was a lot of medics in the area, so that the woman was fine. Okay, now for our 2 winners. parrot seized by cops for warning druggie owner about raid.
Okay, well, you know the first question, Grace. What is the parrot's name?
Well, Howie, it's funny.
They're just a human being.
It's funny you should ask. I'm gonna wait. It says Polly want a lawyer, but that's not the name of it. A parrot in Brazil was taken into custody for warning his drug-dealing owner that cops were about to launch a raid, squawking, "Mommy, police!" Is that what parrots sound like? No. That sounded like Elmo. Yeah.
Police!
Mommy, police!
Flush the drugs!
The green-feathered watchdog began screeching loudly the moment officers showed up at his home in the eastern city of Teresina. He must have been trained for that, a police officer involved in the operation told the paper.
Right.
As soon as police got close, he began shouting. The loyal loudmouth, whose name was not reported, was seized by cops.
Didn't you make a call to find out down to Brazil?
I did.
So what was the name?
How's your Portuguese these days?
I made a call, and the parrot's name is actually Giselle.
One of the texters says, too bad Roger Stone didn't have a parrot.
I don't think it would have helped him.
He had dogs,
They
and
would
they
have
didn't help.
gunned down the parrot.
This is interesting. Now drug dealers need a pit bull and a parrot, apparently.
I'm glad he didn't have a parrot because he still talks about how the dogs were traumatized, so I can't imagine what it would do to a parrot. They're very sensitive creatures. Okay, now here is our final story. Brawling Easter Bunny is fugitive from New Jersey with checkered criminal past.
Did you see this video, Howie?
Yeah, I did.
This was awesome.
I did.
So everyone thought this was a feel-good video. There was a man and a woman fighting on the street, and this is just a hot tip. If there's a woman involved in a fight, don't get involved, especially if she's fighting a man, because it's just going to be messy.
I would say don't get involved, period, in any fight.
You wouldn't protect a woman from being beaten up by a man?
I would, but not if I was dressed as an Easter bunny and not if it was in the street. It's just too messy.
We've got a follow-up from the text line about the Brazil story. Later at the station, the parrot became a stool pigeon.
Oh.
Ha, 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 ha.
So
a canary, you might say.
This Easter, you shouldn't get involved in any fights, is what I'm saying. The Easter bunny was all dressed up. He broke up this fight, and everyone thought he was such a hero because he broke up this fight. He protected the woman, which, is very good. And turns out they looked into his past, and he's a person of interest in a recent carjacking and 2 armed robberies and a career criminal wanted for vehicle burglary.
So in other words, they weren't looking into his past, they were looking into his present.
Yeah. In other words, we just can't have nice things.
Those are the 2 winners. I'm Howie Carr.
April is here and it's time for vacations. But what about a Bankscation? At Bank Chevrolet Buick GMC, we're making every day in April relaxing with great deals that will take you away. Look for the beach ball tags for special savings. Go see over 2,000 new and pre-owned vehicles in stock, all in one convenient location. You'd have to test drive over 70 different cars and trucks every day just to see them all. At Banks in Concord, shopping for a vehicle is as relaxing as a day at the beach. You'll find the lowest, most transparent pricing and a friendly, no-pressure staff. Right now, GM truck lessees can get up to $16,000 off all 2018 Denali's in stock with 0% financing for up to 84 months while supplies last. Must finance with GM Financial. See more April Bankscations offers online at banksautos.com. Our full-service internet department can help you take care of the details before you even walk through the door. Bank Chevrolet Buick GMC in Concord, New Hampshire. Real prices, huge inventory, always in stock. GMC, we are professional grade.
And now, an interview with the Emperor of Hate, Howie Carr.
We went to the White House for the Christmas party. In your opinion, what was the highlight?
The highlight of my trip to the White House with Grace, there were 2. Number 1, when we walked into Trump International Hotel, which she'd been dreaming of going to, and her eyes were wide. And then when the president actually came down the stairs, her eyes were even wider. She was so in awe of being there. I really felt like King Farouk, I felt like I was giving someone a really great gift that they couldn't get otherwise.
You've had some really good interviews over the years. Which one was your favorite?
I can't really say what the best interview I ever had, but one that just occurred to me was Jesse Helms, the senator from North Carolina. I interviewed him one time, and he went to high school with my mother in Monroe, North Carolina. And the first words out of his mouth were, "Howie, I know your mother before you knew your mother."
And now, an interview with the Emperor of Hate, Howie Carr.
Besides President Trump, who is your favorite Republican?
My favorite Republican, I think right now, would be Devin Nunes, just because he was so courageous. He went to the mat, and he's been proven 100% correct.
When you used to smoke cigarettes back in the day, what was your brand of choice?
I started out with Luckies and Camels because that's what we smoked at Deerfield, the high school Harries, unfiltered. Then when I was in college, I switched to Larks with the charcoal filters. My final brand was Pall Mall unfiltered. That was the best cigarette of all. And that's what I started out smoking. Aunt Doris told me, she said, Howie, if you ever want to smoke, don't take something from somebody else because they could be a pusher trying to get you hooked on marijuana. Just ask for one of my Pall Malls. Okay, Aunt Doris.
Howie, how come your Aunt Doris voice sounds a lot like your Gooner voice?
You're listening to the Howie Carr Show.
Contrary to popular belief, estate plans are not just for the rich and famous, and poor planning could cause expensive nightmares for you and your loved ones. Hi, I'm Joe Ruffino, Director of Research and Portfolio Manager at Goodman Advisory Group. Proper estate planning could maximize the value of what you'll pass on to your heirs. Poor or no planning could lead to loved ones accidentally cut out of their inheritances, paying large unnecessary tax bills, and could saddle the family with head-scratching legal battles. That's why the Goodman Advisory Group is offering a free report entitled Estate Planning Nightmares, 13 Critical Mistakes and How to Avoid Them. In this report, you'll learn how to avoid the devastating consequences that could occur if you fail to properly plan for what happens when you die. Call now for your free no-obligation report. Call 800-267-6500. That's 800-267-6500. 800-267-6500.
Securities offered through LPL Financial. Member, FINRA, SIPC. Investment advice offered through Goodman Advisory Group, LLC, a registered investment advisor separate from LPL Financial.
And now, an interview with the Emperor of Hate, Howie Carr.
How did you come up with the name VB?
My first producer and I both had steady girlfriends, or we were married or whatever. And VB was always saying that we were whipped, if you know what I mean. Finally, I said, you don't even have a girlfriend. I've never seen you with a female. As a matter of fact, I don't think you have ever had sex. You are just a virgin boy.
What is your biggest fear?
That Donald Trump will not be reelected in 2020 and that some horrible Democrat will come in and finish off the destruction of this once great country.
Out of all of your daughters, who is the least like you and why?
Probably Charlotte, even though we went to the same high school, Deerfield Academy. She has a different sense of her responsibilities than I do. Let me put it that way. She has a different regard for money. She's not a cheap bastard, in other words. I've seen a lot of Anchor cupcakes in my day. Here are some of the latest network nitwits.
Danny says if I'm elected president, I will push for a constitutional amendment to impose term limits on all members of Congress. Correct me, there already are term limits, so what does he mean? And what are we hearing in the background? Is that shelling?
No, Katie, you're actually hearing that from here in Jerusalem, and it's actually fireworks going off right behind me.
We're in our tribes, we're in our corners most of our lives. I think we just heard some gunshots. Should we listen to that for a second? Control room? Is that not gunshots? Okay. Ivanka is not the second lady. She is actually, I don't think she deserves this position. She's actually a senior advisor to the president. So the idea that he would demean her specifically in that way, he shouldn't talk about the first lady that way. We aren't all here to make salads for men. It's disgusting.
I mean, I'm presuming he was talking about Karen Pence when he said second lady.
Oh, I'm sorry. Not Montana. I'm talking about no, never mind.
Yeah, no, Chester, I mean, that's Republicans could add to that.
I was getting Montana and North Dakota confused because, I don't know, I just was.
You're listening to the Howie Carr Show.
And now, 1 minute of Nancy Pelosi.
It is a bill that is much needed for our farmers and ranchers. I think there are only 47 votes against it in the House of Representatives. The American people should know the source of it. Again, we are engaged in the year-end continuing resolution, Homeland Security. I'm not sure. No, I haven't spoken to him since he called the other day, which was a very amicable conversation. Amiable, I guess you would say, not amicable. And I talked to Chuck last night to say, we haven't had an answer. There are other things that are going on that are newsworthy, and I think you'd have more viewers or readers if people address concerns that people have. The list goes on about the
Hello, America. Incredibly bad Christopher Walken impersonator here. Before, Neil Armstrong planted the Stars and Stripes on the Sea of Tranquility. Before, our greatest generation rescued freedom in World War II. Before, the Dust Bowl and the Great Depression. Before, we sent our doughboys over there in the war to end all wars. Before, the first musket ball flew in the Civil War, the brothers Matthews were making windows in Belfast, Maine. Over the past 165 years, my friends at Matthews Brothers have seen some wacky stuff come out of Washington. They always say, "Who cares? We're here to make wicked awesome windows." I guess, after a while, you kind of get used to it. As the boys used to say at the Lincoln Douglas debates, "Welcome to the monkey house." You can learn more about their wicked awesome Maine-made windows and doors, but only at Better Lumberyards and Window Professionals, or on the web at MatthewsBrothers.com. Matthews Brothers with one T, America's oldest window manufacturer.
And now it's time for some presidential facts with Steve Robinson.
Zachary Taylor received his nomination for presidency late because he refused all postage-due correspondence. Talk about a cheap mo. James K. Polk fulfilled all of his campaign promises. During his administration, Polk acquired California from Mexico, settled the Oregon dispute, lowered tariffs, established a sub-treasury, and retired from office after one term. Harry S. Truman used to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning to practice the piano for 2 hours. Grover Cleveland personally answered the White House phone. Calvin Coolidge, on the other hand, refused to use the phone while in office. At his inauguration, George Washington had only one tooth. At various times,
Better strap yourself in. It's time for the Howie Carr Show.
Nancy Pelosi wants you to say, "I'm sorry that I invaded your space."
So I invaded your space. I mean, I'm sorry this happened, but I'm not sorry in the sense that I think I did anything that was intentionally designed to do anything wrong or be inappropriate. It was inappropriate that I didn't understand, that I assumed. Look, I was, anyway.
Live from the Matthews Brothers Studios.
What are you proudest of in your administration? I know what I said? Not one single whisper of scandal.
Not one.
Not one single
Well, I can think of a couple of things.
Unchained and unstoppable.
So I didn't want it to look like he was putting his thumb on the scale here. And that, that I'm going to do this based on who I am, not by the president going out and trying to say, this is the guy you should be with.
You just keep telling yourself that.
Who's your captain? Howie Carr.
Just in, first quarter GDP numbers have just been released, showing 3.2% growth for the first quarter. That is a beautiful number.
This number is so good, we don't even need to have that conversation.
Really big numbers.
For a first quarter number, it's incredible.
Better than estimates.
Unexpectedly higher.
It's an extraordinary number.
My whole life has been about winning.
Who do you love? Howie Carr.
The Supreme Court has recognized the inherent right of Congress to hold individuals in contempt and to imprison them. Congress has the responsibility, and I would say the obligation, to hold individuals in contempt who do not comply with a lawful subpoena, who do not produce documents, and we ought to be prepared to imprison them because we have that inherent right.
I love you, but let me ask you this, Congressman. How do you do it?
Rump swabs, hacks, and moonbats beware. It's Howie Carr.
Welcome back. 844-500-4242. The texters love that parrot story, Grace, in Brazil, the parrot lookout.
I mean, everybody needs a parrot that cool.
Parrots are kind of cool. The colorful birds.
They can live to be really, really old.
I know. I wouldn't mind having a parrot, actually, myself.
You might think twice about that, though. My brother rented to someone who had a parrot, and it chewed every piece of woodwork in the apartment.
Well, when you don't let it out of its cage.
Well, it's got a little anxiety.
It's not like that bird from Queens, the cockatoo that we read about last week.
That splatted?
No, the one that they said they let the bird out of its cage and had to do a couple of laps around the living room, and then it flew out the door and it hit the ground and someone stole it. Someone says that the parrot didn't apparently tell the drug owner soon enough, and so he was arrested. And one of the texters says, apparently, get it? Apparently, the parrot messed up. Ha, 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 ha. Someone else says the parrot was just winging it. And then, of course, we have more jokes about stool pigeons and canaries and that kind of stuff. Anyway, here's a couple of dreamers in the news stories. And this first one is from the Richmond Times-Dispatch. And I used to work when I got out of college for the Winston-Salem Journal, and that was owned by the same people, Media General it was called, the company. They also owned the Richmond Times-Dispatch, and it was a super conservative family, the Bryans. It's out of business now. I think they sold the Journal to Warren Buffett or Berkshire Hathaway or something, and I don't know who owns the Times-Dispatch, probably Warren Buffett too. But this is how liberal this paper is. Here's the headline. Man gets 4 years for hit and run that crashed that killed 4-year-old. Judge warns him not to return to U.S. He's a man. Judge warns him not to return to the U.S. Okay. Jose A. Gonzalez Flores contritely told a Chesterfield County judge yesterday that he felt sad in every way you can imagine for taking the life of a 4-year-old boy and acknowledged he was 100% selfish for fleeing the crash scene after plowing into the back of the family's car on Belmont Road. Okay? So that's the lead, right? We go down to the 11th paragraph, and we begin to get the real leads of the story. The judge warned Gonzalez Flores, a Guatemala national, that if he returns to the U.S. after he serves his time and deported, he will order that he serve 17 years of suspended time. And in the previous graph, they said he was convicted of the manslaughter count, possession of cocaine, and driving without a license for a third or subsequent offense. Don't you think those are somewhat germane? He's an illegal alien with possession of cocaine, driving without a license. 18th graph. The defendant testified he wasn't under the influence of drugs or alcohol when he crashed, but acknowledged he drank a 12-ounce beer after getting off work. Police found a rolled-up $20 bill with cocaine residue in the truck's center console. Oh, that's the 18th paragraph. And here we come to the second to last paragraph, the 24th paragraph. First, despite having no driver's license, Gonzalez Flores has accumulated at least 8 local driving offenses since 2014 and has frequently been convicted in absentia. In absentia? In other words, he defaulted. He didn't show up for a criminal proceeding, and they're calling it in absentia. Good Lord. What has happened to all these newspapers? And then the 25th graph. During a bond hearing, the defendant's attorney told the court that his client had been granted semi-legal immigration status some years ago under the Deferred Action for Childhood Arrival, or DACA, which allows some people who were brought to the U.S. illegally as children to receive a period of deferred action from deportation and become eligible for a work permit. In other words, he was a dreamer. Okay? How about that? How about this for the headline? Dreamer convicted of killing 4-year-old kid while drunk, driving without a license, and in possession of cocaine. How about that is the lead? Rather than a man. A man. Okay, more dreamers in the news. 5-time deported illegal alien charged with kicking baby to death. A 5-time deported illegal alien has been arrested and charged with kicking a 4-month-old baby to death in Shelby County, Tennessee. I believe that's Memphis, after learning the child was not his. Carlos Zuniga Avelas, a 33-year-old illegal alien from Honduras. This is Breitbart. So this is the way it should be written. All these stories. Who has been using the alias Jose Aviga Aguirre while in the United States, was charged with murder this week after he allegedly kicked 4-month-old Alexander Lizindro Cachon to death on April 12th. He became enraged with the baby's mother after learning he was not the child's father. He had already been deported from the U.S. a total of 5 times. The alleged murder occurred in Shelby County, a sanctuary city that has failed to turn illegal aliens over to ICE for deportation since last year. How's that working out for Shelby County, you think? Months ago, Shelby County attorney Marlene Clark Iverson's office told local media that the county would not obey a state law that sought to ban sanctuary cities across Tennessee. See, this is the problem. They just passed one of these in Florida, the same kind of law. in the legislature in Tallahassee. But I'm sure the sanctuary city state's attorneys in Florida aren't going to obey this any more than the district attorney in Shelby County is going to obey it. The baby's murder at the hands of an illegal alien is just the latest case of illegal aliens accused of killing Americans in Tennessee. And again, Tennessee. How far is Tennessee from the border? Most recently in Knoxville, Tennessee, 52-year-old Debbie Burgess was allegedly killed in a hit-and-run accident caused by illegal alien Juan Francisco. Late last year, also in Knoxville, 22-year-old Pierce Cochran was killed in a car crash allegedly caused by illegal alien Francesco Eduardo Franco Cambrini. This one's been on Fox. They've had the parents. It's the fire captain's son was killed. This guy was he was like a college student. He was engaged. He was with his fiancée, just mowed down by this illegal alien. Charges for Cochran's killing were dropped against Francesco Cambrini, and he was subsequently deported without being convicted. Great. Celebrate diversity. Dreamers in the news. 844-500-4242. Rhode Island town declares itself sanctuary for gun owners. This is some good news. A Rhode Island town took the unusual step this week of declaring itself a sanctuary city for gun owners. The Providence Journal reported that Burrillville, I don't know, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, a town of about 15,000 people situated in Rhode Island's northwest corner, unanimously passed a resolution this week that protects its citizens' Second Amendment right to bear arms. Donald A. Fox sponsored the resolution and told the Journal he grew tired of the anti-gun movement on the left. I'm taking the sanctuary city status that's been used by progressives and liberals all around this country and turning it on its head, Fox said. We're thumbing our nose at the federal government. We're no longer going to be used as a punching bag for the left for the anti-gun movement. That's great. Every spring I have to put on my yellow vest and defend the rights that are afforded me under the Constitution. I finally got tired of it. Maybe it's time for the town to take a stand. Councilman Dennis Anderson told the newspaper, we don't think people with a different view should be eroding our rights. Let's just say we're happy with our rights the way they are. And of course, today, President Trump was in Indianapolis and gave a speech at the National Rifle Association's annual leadership forum. He called himself a champion of the Second Amendment and announced that he had withdrawn the U.S. from a 2013 United Nations arms treaty. 844-500-4242. That's the toll-free number of the Howie Carr Show. We're going to take a lot of calls this hour. We haven't taken many all day, so we'll take a lot this hour. And I've got some stories to read on from the campaign trail. I'm Howie Carr.
He's the maestro of microaggression. He's Howie Carr.
This half hour of the Howie Carr Show is powered by the Car Guys. Purchasing a pre-owned car can be tricky, but not if you go through Bill Papa George. He is the absolute best in the business. Both Grace and I use the Car Guys, and recently my daughter Charlotte got a car from the Car Guys. Call 800-300-4600. That's 800-300-4600.
Howie Carr.
Hi, this is Howie Carr. I'm here with Paul, one of our listeners from Fremont, New Hampshire. Paul went to visit Perfect Smiles in Nashua, New Hampshire. He saw Dr. Houghton. Tell us what Dr. Houghton and Perfect Smiles did for you, Paul.
I always had closed lip smile. Never smiled. I had nothing to smile about with the teeth I had. Dr. Houghton was able to put together the design for my teeth that are absolutely stunning.
With a Perfect Smile, how's your life changed, Paul?
I've become more of a happy person. It's just an amazing transformation.
How's Dr. Houghton different than earlier dentists you went to?
I've gone back to my general dentist. They have commented that they have not seen work this good, and they have other clients that would benefit from the work that Dr. Houghton does.
This summer, do something for yourself. Call Perfect Smiles. 603-595-6699. That's 603-595-6699. Dr. Houghton could do for you what he did for Paul.
It was a big mistake when it was made. We were told by the experts that crack, you never go back. It was somehow fundamentally different. It's not. I haven't always been right. I know we haven't always gotten things right.
In my past, I said and believed things that were wrong. And worse,
They were very hurtful to people in the LGBTQ community.
I was callous to the suffering of families who want to be with their loved ones. I did not think about suffering in other people's lives. That was my fault.
To the women in our campaign who were harassed or mistreated, I apologize.
Do I wish that sometimes they would have personally consulted me before they wrote the things that they wrote? Yes, I do. But the bottom line is the buck stops with me.
I am not a person of color. I am not a citizen of a tribe.
Now, I can't stand up here and tell you that every decision I've made as mayor was perfect.
And I take full responsibility for what my office did.
I'm deeply sorry for having said them.
It was something that I'm embarrassed about and I'm ashamed of.
Hello, America. Incredibly bad Christopher Walken impersonator here. Over the past 165 years, my friends at Matthews Brothers have seen some incredibly baffling ideas come out of our nation's capital. Did you know that the government owns the rain? Or that it's a federal crime to sell ham turkey, but not turkey ham? It's also against the law for Farmer John to sell raw milk. Matthews Brothers has built a reputation for solving window problems with products that are affordable, practical, and realistic. 3 words that are obviously not in the federal lexicon. We can be thankful that for something as important as windows and doors, you can rely on Matthews Brothers, the same company New England has trusted since before the Civil War. You can learn more about their wicked awesome Maine-made windows and doors, but only at better lumberyards and window professionals, or on the web at MatthewsBrothers.com. Matthews Brothers with 1 T, America's oldest window manufacturer.
And now it's time for some presidential facts with Steve Robinson.
William Howard Taft is the only U.S. president who also served as a Chief Justice on the Supreme Court. Grover Cleveland was the first president to be married in the White House. Thomas Jefferson had a pet mockingbird named Dick. 3 presidents, John Adams, Thomas Jefferson, and James Monroe, have died on the 4th of July. Andrew Johnson's deal to purchase Alaska for $7.2 million was mocked at first, but then we discovered all the oil and gold, and I think it's safe to say it worked out. Abraham Lincoln was the first president to wear a beard, which he grew out after 11-year-old Grace Bettle sent him a letter imploring him to do so. Chester A. Arthur was nicknamed Elegant Arthur because of his fashion sense. Franklin Pierce gave his 3,319-word inaugural address from memory, without the aid of notes.
Hey, Howie Nation, did you know you can watch Howie Carr live on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube? Well, at least you can for now. Like us, follow us, and subscribe before the Silicon Valley PC police banish Howie to the internet gulag.
It's so dark with all this rain. It's like I'm in November, you know? I like this time of year because the sun is out when I get out of work. I can drive home in the sun. But this week, Lord, I've had enough of this weather. Are you a concerned citizen who cares about limited taxation? Join the Massachusetts Fiscal Alliance to become a member of the state's largest conservative advocacy organization. Union bosses and the socialist left want you to ignore this message. Don't. Visit massfiscal.org and join Mass Fiscal today. Steve, what's the poll question? What are the results thus far?
What was the Obama administration's biggest scandal? Was it Fast and Furious, the gun-running controversy, the Benghazi cover-up, IRS targeting conservative nonprofits, the attempted coup by the deep state, Bo Bergdahl, Gold King mine spill, or illegal executive orders?
They're all really bad. Those illegal executive orders, that's how all these dreamers got to stay in the country. He said 23 times he didn't have the constitutional authority to do it, and then he decided to do it because he knew no one was going to do it because he had some kind of privilege that other presidents haven't had. I wonder what that privilege was.
I have to think on that.
Yeah, I'm thinking privilege is a very important word in the woke
because he went to Harvard
these days. I don't know. I'm going to have to ponder that.
Well, anyways, 41% say it was the Benghazi cover-up. 25% agree with you, Russiagate. Just 1% say it was the Gold King mine spill. But
people have just forgotten that because it didn't get any publicity.
You talk to the Navajo people, and I bet they're still pretty upset about the poisoning of their irrigation water.
Let me tell you, if Donald Trump's EPA had done that, and they had those pictures of that, the pictures of that river with that color and so horribly polluted, there would be endless Pulitzer prizes. There would probably be a Nobel Prize for news photography. They'd invent one just to get Trump.
Not to mention impeachment charges.
Absolutely. Yeah. All right. This is the final time we're going to mention this tonight. We have a special tonight. It's ending tonight. The 2 volumes of Kennedy Babylon, A Century of Scandal and Depravity. These are stories about the Kennedy scandals down over the last 100+ years. And this is usually a $40 value. We're selling them right now, both 2 autographed copies of the book, Kennedy Babylon 1 and Kennedy Babylon 2, for just $9.99. $9.99 for both volumes. Usually a $40 value, and you got to order before midnight tonight. Go to HowieCarrShow.com, HowieCarrShow.com, and click on store, and you can get them. It's a great gift. If you haven't read them, you're not going to get them at any cheaper price than this. 844-500-4242. We'll take some calls, and I do want to there's a great column in the Wall Street Journal, a couple of great columns, one by Kim Strassel about the Russians and the dossier, just about how Mueller didn't even talk about the dossier. It's kind of disgraceful, I would say. And then there's another story about how Buttigieg, Mayor Pete, what a hypocrite, what a cynical fraud he is for picking this fight with Vice President Pence. And it just lays out their relationship, which was always very pleasant over the years when he was the mayor and Pence was the governor. But we'll get to both of those as we go through this hour. Bill, you're next with Howie Carr. Go ahead, Bill.
I think we forgot one of Obama's biggest offenses, which was when, like the Nazis, he asked the public to turn in their friends, families, and neighbors who didn't agree with him on his health care plan. I just want to leave it at that.
Did he really? I forgot.
Yeah, he put out. Have you seen misinformation about Obamacare, which was like accurate reporting about Obamacare? Yeah, no, I think Hillary Clinton did something like that too. They have their fake news desk or something. That's what they call it, anyways.
You mean, so in other words, then, Bill, if somebody said, I don't think he's telling the truth, that I'm not going to be able to keep my doctor or my health care plan, and I really don't believe I'm going to save $2,500 in the next year. So you were supposed to turn that person in if they had some doubts about the nonsense he was spewing out on the campaign trail?
It was in the beginning, and it was up on his website, which I saw for a couple of weeks, and was asking neighbors to turn in neighbors if anybody was telling them that the health care plan he was promoting was bad.
Well, I mean, so, you can't expect the federal government to find all the thought crime. You need to enlist people to help. It's a group effort.
That's right. I mean, that was the policy of Uncle Joe Stalin, and I think Pol Pot did the same thing in Cambodia. It's a tradition, you might say, across the entire globe. 508 says, don't forget the Iranian pallets of cash deal. How about just the whole Iranian nuclear deal? There's another one. How about overthrowing Muammar Gaddafi? How has that worked out for anybody?
How about every aspect of Barack Obama's foreign policy?
Yeah, you're right. Every aspect.
He completely subjected his own, I guess, electoral concerns to our foreign policy, whether it was Benghazi or withdrawing from Iraq because he thought it was good for his reelection.
Yeah. How about the green the green revolution in Iran? I mean, they were on the verge of overthrowing the mullahs, and he backed off.
Ball dropped.
Total ball drop. And then standing aside in Syria, I don't know what he could have done. It was a big mess, but he did threaten to overthrow them and then back down.
He drew that red line.
Yeah, the red line in the sand, and he backed away. And then so Europe was flooded with these migrants, which has been a complete disaster. I mean, there's so many of them. Like I said, though, we only have room for so many lines on our poll question. It would be an endless amount. But this is again how duplicitous, how disingenuous, those are big words for lying, Joe Biden is. Because he to say there's no scandals.
You could throw in mendacious too. Yeah. I like mendacious.
Yeah, that's good. I was going with the D words, but it's mendacious is good. It is a good word. Alan, you're next with. Okay, hold on. We'll take some more calls when we come back. 844-500-4242. I'll read you the Mike Pence column when we come back with Mayor Pete. What a fraud this guy is. I mean, he's going to have a big fundraiser. We should probably also mention his big gay fundraiser this weekend. Some of the highest profile names in Hollywood, among them Ryan Murphy, Never heard of him.
Never heard of Ryan Murphy.
No. I think he used to live in Davis Square in Somerville.
We might need to get Grace in here to tell us who he is.
Matt Bomer, Simon Halls, Brian Lord, Bruce Bosey, Greg Berlanti, Robbie Rogers. These are some of the biggest names in Hollywood. I never heard of any of them. I'm Howie Carr. I was recently looking for something in my house, and I found a few family pictures in the drawer from a few years ago. One of the photos was a shot of me before I had my hair restored by DiStefano Hair Restoration. What struck me was the receding hairline. It was more than receding. I was going bald. I actually looked older in this picture than I do today, thanks to Dr. Highness and his team at DiStefano Hair Restoration. I remember those days from that picture when I used to look in the mirror and dreaded seeing my ever-increasing bald spot. Now when I look in the mirror, I see the new me with a full head of thick hair. So come on, guys. What are you waiting for? More hair to fall out? With a DiStefano IGT procedure, balding and hair loss are now optional. Stop procrastinating. Call now and get a free IGT consultation. Plus, financing is available with payments as low as $119 a month. Just call 800-858-HAIR to learn more. That's 800-858-HAIR. Call 800-858-HAIR or just visit hairman.com.
Jim Acosta, without a doubt, wins the competition for Trump's least favorite journalist of all time. Let's listen to some of their feistier moments.
I'll tell you what, CNN should be ashamed of itself having you working for them. You are a rude, terrible person. You shouldn't be working for CNN. Should I let him have a little bit more? What do you think, Peter? Peter, should I let him have a little bit more? Sit down. I'm changing it from fake news, though.
Doesn't that undermine...
Very fake news.
I know, but aren't you...
When I raise money... Excuse me. I've watched you on television. You're a real beauty. Honestly, I think you should let me run the country. You run CNN. All right. And if you did it well, your ratings would be much better.
If I may ask one other question. Mr. President, if I may ask one other question, are you worried...
That's enough. That's enough.
Mr. President, what do you say to your critics who say that you're concocting a national emergency here in order to get your wall because you couldn't get it through other ways?
What do you think? Do you think I'm creating something? Ask these incredible women who lost their daughters and their sons, because your question is a very political question, because you have an agenda. You're CNN. You're fake news.
Hello, America. Incredibly bad Christopher Walken impersonator here. Matthews Brothers is boring. In a world that's full of excitement and change, they are Dullsville, baby. When the world's talking about cow farts and tofu burgers, Matthews Brothers is talking about wicked awesome windows and doors. When the world is talking about train rides to Maui or biking to Orlando, Matthews Brothers is talking about consistently superior customer service. When the world is talking about tearing down the buildings and putting up new ones, Matthews Brothers is saying, "We did mention we made windows, right? I said they're boring, not stupid." You can learn more about their wicked awesome yet boring made windows and doors, but only at Better Lumberyards and Window Professionals, or on the web at MatthewsBrothers.com. Matthews Brothers with one T, America's oldest window manufacturer.
And now it's time for some presidential facts with Steve Robinson.
George Washington was unanimously elected president by the Electoral College in the first two national elections. Talk about landslides. George Washington proclaimed November 26 a day of Thanksgiving. He fasted while visiting debtors in prison, but provided them with food and beer. John Adams was the first president to reside in the Executive Mansion. Theodore Roosevelt was the first president to call it the White House. Following the Boston Massacre in 1770, no one wanted to represent British soldiers accused of murdering 5 colonists, so John Adams did. Thomas Jefferson spoke French, Greek, Italian, and German. He also claimed to have taught himself Spanish on a 19-day trip to France using only a grammar guide and a copy of Don Quixote. In 1860, Abraham Lincoln's campaign slogan was, "Vote yourself a farm," a reference to the Republican Party's support for the Homestead Act.
Are you running in 2020?
Do you plan on running for president in 2020?
I've got a lot of work in the Senate.
That's not a no.
I'm seriously considering it.
I'm thinking hard about it, considering running.
And afterwards, you take a look at it.
Absolutely, I'm looking at it.
I'm thinking about it.
We're seriously thinking about it.
I'm not ruling it out.
We certainly are looking at it.
I've been very straightforward that I'm thinking about running.
Am I going to think about it? Yeah, I'm going to think about it.
Look, we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I'm thinking about it.
I would not be honest with you if I didn't say that I'm thinking of running.
I am just still thinking about this, talking to people.
Not sure what
future will hold in that respect.
I promise I'm thinking about it really hard, Elaine.
I think about whether or not I should run.
I will take a hard look at running for president.
I'm seriously thinking about how I can best be of service.
During the holidays, I'm going to sit back and meet with family, friends.
Are you ruling out running for president in 2020 or not?
No, that's another year.
Would you be open to it?
Sure, I would never close the door.
Look, I might.
Amy and I made a decision not to rule anything out.
Live from the Matthews Brothers Studios.
There's a good op-ed piece in the Wall Street Journal today by a guy named Brian Anderson, who's he's out of Phoenix, Arizona. I guess he's a political consultant, political research group, and it's about Buttigieg and his one-sided feud with the vice president. They're both from Indiana, obviously. He's from South. He's the mayor of South Bend, and of course, Pence was a congressman and then became the governor of Indiana. Vice President Mike Pence and the 2020 Democratic hopeful Pete Buttigieg have been embroiled in a notable fight over the past few weeks. Notable mostly because the vice president hasn't been involved. The mayor went after Mr. Pence unprompted at the LGBTQ Victory Fund's National Champagne Brunch April 7th, referring disparagingly to the Mike Pences of the world. The South Bend, Indiana mayor told the audience that the former governor has a quarrel with him because Mr. Buttigieg is gay. Mr. Pence's response? I've known Mayor Pete for many years, he told CNN. I considered him a friend. He knows I don't have a problem with him. For years, this is the Wall Street Journal column, Democrats have engaged in these sorts of shadowboxing matches against Mr. Pence, swinging their arms at a hateful caricature that doesn't exist. To Republicans' amusement, the vice president's would-be adversaries have yet to get much of a rise out of him, and little wonder. He is one of the more polite and good-natured people in Washington. For instance, when Olympic figure skater Adam Rippon, I've never heard of any of these people.
Oh, I've heard of this guy because he was all everyone would talk about from the Olympics because he was a gay ice skater. There's never been a gay ice skater before.
Again, if he was in the Olympics, that explains why I've never heard of him.
Exactly.
Whether he's gay or straight, I don't care if he's a heavyweight boxer, I haven't heard of him. When Olympic figure skater Adam Rippon last year criticized Mr. Pence's alleged past support for conversion therapy, the New York Times published a headline, Mike Pence tangles with Olympian Adam Rippon over gay rights record. In reality, Mr. Rippon's comments seem to have come unprompted, and Mr. Pence responded by tweeting to Mr. Rippon, I want you to know that we are for you, all in caps, for you. I am proud of you. That's quite a feud, huh? But again, that's the New York Times. Mike Pence tangles with Olympian Adam Rippon.
Can you think of a better vice president than Mike Pence?
No, he's
really good.
Yeah,
he's always stood by Trump. He's always magnanimous.
Right.
I love Mike Pence.
He takes the assignments. He doesn't complain. He doesn't embarrass Donald Trump.
I mean, Dick Cheney was pretty good, but I think Mike Pence is better.
I agree. The sustained one-sided assault Mr. Buttigieg has launched in recent weeks is particularly low because he knows the man behind the caricature, a fellow Hoosier, very well. In 2015, when asked his thought about Mr. Buttigieg's coming out, then Governor Mike Pence said without hesitation, I hold the mayor in the highest personal regard. We have a great working relationship. I see him as a dedicated public service and a patriot. Wow, that's some feud, huh? On meeting Mr. Pence for the first time in 2011, Mr. Buttigieg wrote, I was surprised by how affable, even gentle he seemed. Let me repeat that. I was surprised by how affable, even gentle he seemed. He later said that Mr. Pence was, quote, noticeably moved by my deployment, unquote, to Afghanistan in 2015, and that he personally called Mr. Buttigieg on his drive to the military base. By contrast, last month, the mayor wondered aloud if Mr. Pence, quote, stopped believing in Scripture when he started believing in Donald Trump, unquote. If the average Democrat wants to swing at a cardboard cutout of the vice president to boost his fundraising numbers, then so be it. But for Mr. Buttigieg to question the faith of a man he knows better than most after close years-long working relationships is shameful. The mayor knows better, and his insults say far more about his character than about the vice president's. So just think about that the next time you hear Buttigieg on TV, and he seems like a reasonable fellow. 844-500-4242. Alan, you're next with Howie Carr. Go ahead, Alan.
Hi, Howie. Thank you so much for taking my call.
Sure.
In these days, we are so blessed to have Mike Pence and Donald Trump. I tell you, what a spine Donald Trump has. I mean, to go to an NRA convention in these days, when you've had all these Democrats come out with their fangs and their teeth just sharpened right up against the Second Amendment. I mean, that's the cornerstone of America. And not just that, but you have Mike Pence there defending and giving some blocks for some of us Christians too. I mean, I called you. I first wanted to call you up about the census and the question they want to take off. Are you a U.S. citizen? But just sitting online and just listening to you speak, we are just so blessed to have Mike Pence and Donald Trump out there. I mean, to go and speak at an NRA convention in these days, or just think about that right now, as they paint the NRA up as a boogeyman, as something that is just awful and evil. I mean, our forefathers ran from these people. You know,
I know. There's a reason why that's the Second Amendment. I mean, freedom of speech, freedom of religion, freedom of assembly. Those are the most important things. But the only way you defend those is with let's face it, with firearms, right?
And Howie, Boston has such a rich, deep history. Such a deep, rich history with the British. I mean, we can talk about that for hours.
Yeah, you're reminding me of something else. There's a story in the. There's a couple of stories in the paper today about Rod Rosenstein and about his rather elevated opinion of himself.
Who did he compare himself to? Jesus Christ?
John Adams.
Just John Adams.
John Adams. Rod Rosenstein, this weasel who signed one of the FISA warrant applications to spy on an American citizen who went to the U.S. Naval Academy and has been investigated probably more than anybody in the country, with the possible exception of Donald Trump. And he's comparing himself to John Adams, who defended the British soldiers that were involved in the Boston Massacre of 1770. No one else would defend them, and there was lynch mobs forming in Boston. And And also, I gotta read you this one thing. Thanks for the call, Alan.
I mean, Rosenstein is barely Franklin Pierce.
Listen to this. He's so courageous. I mean, Adams was, he could have, at the very least, he might have been shunned for defending those troops. Plus, he was one of the guys in the Revolution. But anyway, here's Rod Rosenstein's courage. Rod Rosenstein was in danger of losing his job. This was after the New York Times reported that he had offered to wear a wire to surreptitiously record President Trump. Now Trump, traveling in New York, was on the phone, eager for an explanation. This is the Washington Post. Rosenstein, who by one account had gotten teary-eyed just before the call in a meeting with Trump's chief of staff, John Kelly. So in other words, General Kelly had brought Rosenstein to tears, but he's so brave that he's John Adams. I mean, Judge Joseph had more reason to be crying yesterday than Rod Rosenstein is busted for trying to frame the guy who hired him, who gave him the best job he'd ever have.
When was the last time you cried on the job, Howie?
I think I don't want to seem like a fake tough
tears
guy.
of joy on election day.
When Mike Barnacle got fired, I lit up a cigar for the TV cameras that were in the room. I was close to tears of joy that day, and I had tears. I had close to tears of joy on election night 2016 when Scott Brown was elected in 2010. Teary-eyed. Oh my God, Thanks, Alan. 844-500-4242. Ray, you're next with Howie Carr. Go ahead, Ray.
Yeah, Howie, I just wanted to remind you that when Hillary and Bill went into the White House, she got 1,500 or so of IRS.
I think it was 900 FBI reports. I think that's what it was,
yeah.
Ray. That was it. 900. Yeah.
But I saw you in Pawtucket about 15 years ago.
Yeah.
Keep up the good work.
Hey, thank you, Ray. What station do you listen to me on?
On 680 and 830.
Okay. Oh, yeah. RKO and WCRN. Yeah. WCRN really blows into Rhode Island big time. RKO gets in good, too, but I think CRN is even more powerful. Thanks for the call, Ray. 844-500-4242. 339, Howie cries when his book sales are down. No,
that's true.
I just cut the price though, and then believe me, we're having no problems. We're having no problems moving the books now. Thanks for bringing it up. $9.99 for Kennedy Babylon 1 and 2, both volumes for $9.99, but only through midnight tonight. They're autographed. Go to HowieCarrShow.com. Click on store. All right, I want to read you this Kimberly Strassel column today in the Wall Street Journal, The Russians and the Dossier. This is about how Mueller, he did this voluminous report with, all these subpoenas and FBI agents and, subpoenaing millions upon millions of pages of documents, tens of thousands of emails, and he barely mentions anything about the dossier and where it came from. Politicians keep reminding us not to lose sight of Special Counsel Robert Mueller's broader assignment to investigate Russia's interference in the 2016 elections. If only someone had reminded Mueller. One of the biggest failures of Mueller's probe concerns not what was in the final report, but what was not. Close readers will search in vain for any analysis of the central document in this affair, the infamous dossier, quote unquote. It's a stunning omission given the possibility that the Russians used that collection of reports to feed disinformation to U.S. intelligence agencies, sparking years of political maelstrom. The dossier claimed, among other things, that Paul Manafort was at the center of a well-developed Trump-Russia conspiracy, that Carter Page served as his intermediary, conducting secret meetings with a Kremlin official and the head of a state energy company. That she didn't even mention that this state energy company had offered him an $11 billion bribe. An $11 billion bribe. The Clinton Foundation never got an $11 billion bribe, but this is what the dossier said, and they lapped it up with a spoon. All these stupid quote unquote intelligence agencies and the alt-left media. That Michael Cohen had a clandestine meeting in Prague with Vladimir Putin cronies, and that the Russians had compromising material on Donald Trump, making him vulnerable to blackmail. The Mueller report exposes these dossier claims as pure fiction, yet in describing the actions of the Trump campaign figures the FBI accused, the report assiduously avoids any mention of the dossier or its allegations. The dossier is blandly described several times as, quote, unverified allegations compiled, unquote, by Mr. Steele. Once Mr. Mueller established that the dossier was a pack of lies, he should have investigated how it gained such currencies at the highest levels of the FBI. Famous but incompetent, that's how. And now crooked and corrupt. Yet his report makes clear he had zero interest in plumbing the antics of the Bureau, which he led from 2001 to 2013. Instead, he went out of his way to avoid the dossier and give cover to the FBI. This is really, Kim Strassel is so good on this stuff. Given that the dossier is largely based on Russian sources, some supposedly connected to the Kremlin, did the Kremlin know about this arrangement and see an opportunity to spoon-feed the U.S. government disinformation? We've also learned more about Mr. Steele's and Fusion's connections to the Russians. Mr. Steele sent a series of emails to Justice Department employee Bruce Orr. He was the number 4 guy in the department, actually, in 2016, inquiring about the status of a visa for Oleg Deripaska, an oligarch with Kremlin ties. Fusion GPS was working alongside the Russian lawyer who arranged the infamous meeting with Donald Trump Jr. in June of 2016. How did Mr. Mueller spend 2 years investigating every aspect of Russian interference, cyber hacking, social media trolling, meetings with Trump officials, and not consider the possibility that the dossier was part of the Russian interference effort? Thanks to the special counsel, we know the Republicans weren't playing footsie with the Russians, but thanks to BuzzFeed, we know the Democrats were. America deserves to know how far that interaction extended. Exactly. All right, we'll be right back. Give us a call if you want to get a last word in on the show for the week. 844-500-4242. I'm Howie Carr.
If you change the station, the Moonbats win. You're listening to the Howie Carr Show.
Contrary to popular belief, estate plans are not just for the rich and famous, and poor planning could cause expensive nightmares for you and your loved ones. Hi, I'm Joe Ruffino, Director of Research and Portfolio Manager at Goodman Advisory Group. Proper estate planning could maximize the value of what you'll pass on to your heirs. Poor or no planning could lead to loved ones accidentally cut out of their inheritances, paying large unnecessary tax bills, and could saddle the family with head-scratching legal battles. That's why the Goodman Advisory Group is offering a free report entitled Estate Planning Nightmares, 13 Critical Mistakes and How to Avoid Them. In this report, you'll learn how to avoid the devastating consequences that could occur if you fail to properly plan for what happens when you die. Call now for your free no-obligation report. Call 800-267-6500. That's 800-267-6500. 800-267-6500.
Securities offered through LPL Financial. Member FINRA SIPC. Investment advice offered through Goodman Advisory Group, LLC, a registered investment advisor separate from LPL Financial.
And now, an interview with the Emperor of Hate, Howie Carr.
How did you come up with the name VB?
My first producer and I both had steady girlfriends, or we were married or whatever. And VB was always saying that we were whipped, if you know what I mean. Finally, I said, you don't even have a girlfriend. I've never seen you with a female. As a matter of fact, I don't think you have ever had sex. You are just a virgin boy.
What is your biggest fear?
That Donald Trump will not be reelected in 2020 and that some horrible Democrat will come in and finish off the destruction of this once great country.
Out of all of your daughters, who is the least like you and why?
Probably Charlotte, even though we went to the same high school, Deerfield Academy. She has a different sense of her responsibilities than I do. Let me put it that way. She has a different regard for money. She's not a cheap bastard, in other words.
So are you tired of being tired? Well, then it's time to get the tea. Hey, it's Lisa here to tell you about this all-natural, all-organic tea I've been drinking that has had great results for over 20 years. It's called Life Change Tea, and it's specially formulated to help detoxify and cleanse your kidneys, liver, colon, and blood all at once. The colon is one of the most ignored organs in the human body. The faster that waste is eliminated from the body, the less time that waste sits in our intestines, spreading toxins to our bloodstream. This tea helps cleanse chemicals caused by outside intruders from our entire digestive system. And get this, weight loss can be a side effect. And with continued use of the tea, you can experience clearer, healthier, younger looking skin, increased energy, and a happier outlook on life. So if you're tired of being tired, get the Life Change Tea at getthetea.com. That's getthetea.com. And like me, you'll be glad you did.
And now, an interview with the Emperor of Hate, Howie Carr.
How did you discover Steve Robinson?
There was a 10th anniversary for the morning show on WGAN, our Portland affiliate, and he was the master of ceremonies. I was there, Colonel Hunt was there, and a lot of other people, and the mailroom manager was there, and she liked the way he was handling it and said, can we get him to work for us on our station? The rest is history.
Out of all of the applicants for my job, why was I selected?
Because, Grace, you got here about 10 minutes early. There's a lot to be said for getting somewhere on time or getting there early, and that's why the mailroom manager selected you. And the fact that you were wearing nice makeup, too.
Who was your first producer, and where is he now?
My first full-time producer now works for TuneIn Radio. He's a vice president. He's very successful.
Did you miss a live broadcast of the Howie Carr Show? Well, worry not. Every minute of the Howie Carr's brilliantly bodacious banter is available for free for your listening pleasure on iTunes, Stitcher, and Spotify.
Do you remember after the Easter bombing in Sri Lanka last weekend, the mainstream media was saying that the people targeted were Easter worshipers, apparently worshipers of Easter. So now there's been a backlash in Sri Lanka. The New York Times just tweeted this out. Mobs of Christian men have been threatening and beating Muslims. Wait, so why would Christian men be targeting Muslims? I thought these were Easter worshipers that were targeted, not Christian men. It's funny how that works, isn't it? That you could idea if Christians are doing something bad, they can be called Christians, and that's okay. It's like being a white Hispanic. If George Zimmerman was a white man until he was accused of killing a black guy, and then he became a white Hispanic. Aaron Hernandez, Patriots tight end. He was always, everybody assumed he was Hispanic, but when he started killing people, he became a white Hispanic. So now we have mobs of Christian men in Sri Lanka have been threatening and beating Muslims. Dozens of residents said they even beat my kids, said a Pakistani refugee who has lived in Sri Lanka for 2 years. I looked up the population of Sri Lanka, and it's about 10% Christian and about 10% Muslim, which means 80% of the population is mostly Buddhist, and the largest religious minority is Hindus. And I'm guessing that probably a lot of Hindus and Buddhists were killed as well, especially at the hotel, right? You think they're real happy with the Muslim community, but the New York Times says Christian men.
Did you grab the other story I printed off, by the way, the USA Today story?
No.
That was on the printer?
No.
I'll just read the headline to you. It kind of says it all. Kamala Harris owns a handgun. That's disqualifying for a 2020 Democrat in my book. She admitted to owning a gun now, and the far left is going to go after her and drag her.
Wow.
Why is she contributing to gun violence? That gun could just go off randomly and kill children anytime.
Here's the difference between the two parties. Mitt Romney, when he decided to run for president, he became a life member of the National Rifle Association. So the logical follow-up question is, what kind of peace have you got?
Where's your rifle, Mitt?
What's the equalizer? What kind? You got it in a gun safe or what?
It really is. It's a liability to be a Republican and not have a gun.
Exactly.
But this change is kind of recent, though. Obama put out that video of himself using a shotgun, and he said, "I shoot skeet all the time."
Right, at Camp David. Which he never went to. But yeah, that's the difference. But Mitt didn't own a gun. That's the tag of the story. Paul, you're next with Howie Carr. Go ahead, Paul.
Hey, Howie. Paul from Maine. I love your show. Always listen. And one of the most important things people have to remind themselves of, that we do not have Hillary Clinton as president. And that may be the best thing that Donald Trump is ever going to do in his life.
Paul, I never forget that, not for an instant. And I don't think anybody does. And he ran a great campaign, but the main reason he got elected was because people were terrified of Hillary Clinton getting into office, for any number of reasons.
Yes and no, they had every number of reasons. She was a horror. And then better still, we couldn't have got a better solid guy, I don't think, anywhere.
Yeah. No, I know. And when Joe Biden was saying yesterday, we have to get America back to where it was, I was thinking, oh my God, talk about another horrifying thought of going back to the days of Obama, with all these scandals. And we haven't even touched on all the scandals on our poll question. How about Obama apologizing to the world for America behaving arrogantly? Oh yeah. How about ripping the cops, whether they're in Cambridge or Ferguson, Missouri, going down to Dallas and I'm Howie Carr.
Hey, business owners and marketing professionals, would you like to advertise on the Howie Carr Radio Network? Howie's show reaches all across New England. And you know who's listening? Your next customer, client, or business lead. If you're interested in advertising on the Howie Carr Show, call John at 800-227-7300. That's 800-227-7300. You're listening to Howie, and so is your next customer. Call John, 800-227-7300 right now.
Are you looking for a pre-owned car? Well, before you go to the dealership where you'll be pounced on by pushy salespeople, give the Car Guys a try. I'm Bill Papageorge, and my job is to make finding the perfect used car as easy as possible. That means I do all of the tough legwork for you. Once I figure out what you want out of a car, I go find it. I've been in this business for a long time, and I know what to look out for. I won't bring you a car unless I know it will meet or exceed your expectations. So give me a call at 800-300-4600. That is 800-300-4600.
And now, an interview with the Emperor of Hate, Howie Carr.
If Mr. Gooner was a person, what college would she attend?
The U.S. Coast Guard Academy.
Is Mr. Gooner a conservative or a Democrat?
Mr. Gooner is a fiscal conservative and a social liberal.
If you could have dinner with any president, dead or alive, who would it be?
Calvin Coolidge. He was from Massachusetts, and I liked his attitude towards public sector unions. And he said, the business of America is business. He's my guy.
Other than yourself, which columnist do you respect the most?
The late George Fraser, he was a columnist for the Boston Herald, the Boston Globe. Most people have forgotten him now. Jimmy Cannon was pretty good. He was so good that Mike Barnacle used to steal stuff from him all the time. Breslin was good in his early days, not so good later on, but when he was working for the Herald Tribune back when I was a kid in New York, he was damn good.
And now, an interview with the Emperor of Hate, Howie Carr.
How did you discover Steve Robinson?
There was a 10th anniversary for the morning show on WGAN, our Portland affiliate, and he was the master of ceremonies. I was there, Colonel Hunt was there, and a lot of other people, and the mailroom manager